Hello, it is good to see you again, friends of Al-Kharid, and welcome back to the second weekly Chronicle podcast, the best place to catch up on everything Chronicle related, whether it be from card releases, card balances, to game news, to like competitive play. It's the best place to catch up on all of it, and currently the only place. So, as always, this week joining me is going to be the still the reigning world champion. Until he does something better and more of note, it's going to be Glenn.
Yeah, that's not going to stick.
Yeah, it is.
Hello. We're continuing with the theme of high-level players on the podcast, Kappa. Here's the founding member of Team Cabbage. It's Musher.
Hey man, I'm Musher, played since closed beta. Don't really remember how I found out about this game, to be honest. I think it was just advertising they did. Yeah, I think that's about it.
What else do you do in your spare time?
Play a lot of card games, mostly Magic the Gathering, obviously this now as well. A bit of Hearthstone, but it's got a bit too RNG based.
Totally agree.
Especially with what came out the other day. But
Old gods, woo!
Alongside him, we've got a very good friend of mine and Ryan's, who was actually mistaken for being a professional esportsman when he entered the Hearthstone True Silver tournament at Insomnia 57. He's a member of the Syndical Gaming esports organisation. He's also the person that the Chili Pack is named after. It's Chili.
Woo!
I hate you for that, Ryan. I actually thought you were joking. It's also the emerald is on my head.
It is staying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Chili. Otherwise known as the world's stillest person. And best ventriloquist. No, that's just a picture. I don't have a webcam. Yeah. Pretty much Glenn summed it up. I play games.
Yep.
Badly.
Yeah, as I say, you think you're good, but we all know different. So, I guess without any further ado, we move into the first topic of this week, which is going to be the ladder. And we're going to start off in bronze. And does someone else want to take this away? Because I have no idea who any of these people are. I mean, it's very competitive, sure. Like,
Yeah,
second to 10th is...
I was having a look at this earlier, and it's. I mean, I remember last week, Babelfish was right up the top, and now he's down, or he or she, down in 9th, but still only one good night away from being top. It's so close. I have to admit, I don't know any of the people on bronze, which is a good sign.
I think that's
a good sign because there's so many new players.
I think that's Wes in second, isn't it? I'm new. But yeah.
Shut up before I turn you into zombie dust. I think Rhino War, the person who's third there, was there last week. Possibly were they not?
Maybe.
I seem to remember the username.
A few of them from last week, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think the main thing it shows is that there's a lot of movement in the bronze ladder at the moment. So like basically anyone could be in the top 10 by the time it changes on Wednesday.
Yeah, interestingly, no one's got to Prestige 51, so no one's going to be skipping to gold at the moment.
Well, depending on how the system actually works, or maybe doesn't work.
Yeah.
We think no one's going to be jumping, but yeah, that's an interesting bronze division. I'd like to know, I'd like to talk to one of them maybe and just see what kind of decks are going on down there. I know RyanN's very, very popular, and a lot of people are playing that stupid Earthblast RyanN.
There's nothing wrong with the Earthblast RyanN.
That no one knows how to play against. So, but yeah, that's bronze anyway. I don't think there's much more we can say about that because we've all been out of bronze for a bit too long, apart from Wes, who's probably still there. But if we move on, we're going to go up to silver, and here's some names we actually know. So
yes, there's a few of the guys at the top who are part of the league system.
It's Not Easy and Bloodburn are two massive names there, and very notable, very good players. And also Sarah is a recent.
Sarah's managed to get up there.
She's a recent joinee of the league. But yeah, there's
also
some good players
managed to beat Merchant on the stream.
Yeah, this is true. The other name I noticed on there is Classic. I noticed them when they got promoted from bronze, but I'm pretty sure that was 2 promotions ago. So
Oh, okay,
Not
so
totally
it's
sure.
taken a couple of seasons to get up to the gold, to the silver prestige.
Yeah, slow progression, I guess.
I mean,
I think-
one thing to note here, I think, is that a lot of these players, even if you're near the top of gold, you are playing a lot of the players who are in the top 10 of silver.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
definitely the
I
case,
don't know
yeah.
about you, but I think I recognise it's not easy in C Classic, especially, or and Bloodburn actually.
Yeah. I mean, Bloodburn. We'll see it later. And it's not easy. They're right at the top of the open tier in the league, so
Mhm.
we know they're very good players.
Spoilers, God.
I think I've played against Deep Homer a few times as well. I'm fairly sure he was one that came up from bronze in Prestige last promotions. So if that is the case, I may well be wrong. But if that is the case, again, that just shows not how easy it is, but with the right amount of time and dedication, how anyone can pick up the game and just get going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
you can climb the ladder really quickly, and in fact, you'll be able to climb it a lot quicker when they eventually come out with this update.
Yeah, the self promotions of the new update are probably the best for me. Like, people like It's Not Easy and Bloodburn at this point are probably just going to get tired of sitting at the top of silver waiting to get promoted. Like, there's only so much for them to do, so they've just got to wait the next, like, 4 days before the promotions happen, which is a bit annoying, but new system is soon TM, so...
Yep.
Yeah, let's move on to gold, somewhere everyone's
Yeah,
more familiar
gold. This
with.
is where it's at. This is where it's at.
Somewhere everyone's more familiar with. Apart from, who the hell is that at the top? Some people might be asking. DJ Mindis has managed to climb his way to the top and surpass
and
everyone.
he's also joined up to the Discord today, so we've finally heard from him.
Finally.
So he is a real person.
He's not a
I
robot.
can confirm he's not a bot.
But yeah, he's got a couple of nice decks on the ladder at the moment. To be fair, he's quite difficult to play against. Cricky, I played against him I think 20 or something times earlier today, and we basically win traded for about 3 hours.
Win trading confirmed.
I think I won 10 and he won 10.
I'm reporting you to my mum. She's going to ban you. But yeah, there's some names up here that we've seen at the top of silver. Gloomy Q was top of bronze, I believe. But Snow Wolf, Tankatine, these guys have been top of silver for a while. Well, the last 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, Cricky and
since
Vitus always in the
promotions.
top 10.
Same with YX.
Myself and Freak are up there as well, like we normally are.
And Freeb, yeah.
Interestingly, no Wolf and Free. No, Freeb's there, but no Wolf and Unforgiven.
Interjection is also another name that's missing
Interjection,
from there,
yeah.
maybe.
I know
Suki,
they've been away for a little bit. Suki's not in the top 10, which is that I'm very surprised about because he's someone who really grinds.
plot twist that Suki's actually probably 11th on this as of this screenshot, because I was about to take it and Glenn finished his game and Freak finished their games, so they actually pushed Suki off the leaderboard. But it is what it is, I guess. There's some definite high level players here, and I don't think it's a true telling of kind of what's going on in ranked at the minute, because let's be honest, not that many people are playing. It's kind of a rough experience.
Not
at the minute.
not at the top of gold. A lot of people, once they've got to a certain prestige, they'll jump into Dungeoneering and grind the wins there to get the gem shards to expand the collection. I think it'll be very interesting when they update the rank system.
Yeah, so then
It is quite nice to.
Carry on.
Oh, sure. It is quite nice to see 2 members of Team Cabbage in the top 10, though.
Oh, represent.
Just humble brag there.
Represent. Where are
Do
you
you
two
want to say who's the members of Team Cabbage?
Yeah, that is Cricky and Tankatine, so 2nd and 6th, respectively.
So Wes, how come you're not in there? What's going on here?
I'm currently about gold 20, where I've been for a little while now.
Full
whereabouts
scrub
are you?
confirmed. I'm actually at gold 10.
Gold 10.
I've been win
Prestige
trading.
or-
Is
No,
that prestige or
No, just gold 10.
Oh.
That's where you finished last season, though. Well, that's where you finished from your ranking points last season, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I started back at rank
I
30, sorry.
I climbed from gold 50. So
Yeah,
because
I saw that stream where you were trying to get as many ranks as you could in one stream, and you gained like 20 or 30.
Yeah, but since then I've been playing on and off just purely because I feel like it's a little bit I don't know. I
It's a
feel
bit
like there's
grindy
not.
when it comes to ranked.
Yeah, but also the fact that there's not. I'm not playing against only the higher players. There's also a few queues where I've found mid-rift silvers where they've been playing kind of really budget decks.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it like I don't say it like, oh, they're peasants to me. I sort of say it in the case of I don't feel like it's a fair game. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just underestimating them. But I'm always like I kind of want to concede because I don't. You know.
You're too nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've played a lot of the high-ranked silvers because that's just how ranking works and how the matchmaking works. And a lot of them have surprised me, and a lot of them have beat me, to be quite honest. I'm finding more luck against the guys at the top of gold. I know I've beaten Cricker the last few times I've played him, and players like that. It's just, YX, I think I've took games off, he's took games off me. But
I think it's harder to play against people who you don't know anything about.
Exactly.
I mean, the guys at the top, most of us stream relatively often. We're all in the league, so the way we play, our game styles and our decks are relatively well known. So you can kind of prepare yourself a little bit and adapt to your play style. When you're against someone you don't know, whatever level they're at, they can surprise you.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's also one of the reasons why I've stayed low is because of the league. I've kind of wanted to sort of stay there where I'm not always going up against the best players and maybe people who are passing on information from one to another.
I don't think it's that bad in the league.
No. But I don't want. I just want to kind of, be the surprise.
You want to test your decks, but like see in secret.
Yeah, be the surprise package when it comes to the league.
I think there's kind of an unspoken rule that you don't really kind of tell other people what people have been running though, like especially if you've already versed them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems to be almost a gentleman's agreement, kind of, without anyone have said it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Right,
so talking about the league,
we've spoken about the league so much. Let's have a look at it.
Let's go. So we've got the open tier on the screen at the minute. We've currently got the top 8. I mean, there's 20-something people with a win, at least one win.
Yeah.
So it's actually ridiculously competitive. We're not going to go too much in detail with stats. We're just going to kind of look at the leagues and who's doing what, because obviously that's what the Sunday Roundup's for. But yeah, open tier is just first of all,
it's ridiculously competitive.
Props to the people for completing like that many games. Gloomy Q, Bloodburn, and It's Not Easy have all made over 20 games, which is insane.
Yeah, considering they've got to arrange them themselves, that's ridiculous. A Gloomy, that's over 2 games a day.
Mm-hmm.
Which is he's gonna have to find something else to do with his time if he gets promoted.
Yeah, you're gonna be limited on the amount of games you can play next season, Stan. Well, that's it though. It's not necessarily like he's gonna get promoted, even if he finishes top. Some people might say that's a bit unfair, but at the same time, if you can't beat the person who's finished 8th, maybe you didn't deserve to finish top. I don't know. It's just, for me, like giving the top 8 a chance to get promoted, it would definitely make more sense.
Just got one thing, Jothan in the chat. He doesn't know what this league is. Basically, Jothan, it's what we've done. We've set up a league system because everyone enjoyed the competitive nature of the Community Cup, and most sports have a league system running along in the background between cups. So what we decided to do was open it up. So we've got 3 tiers. We've got a top tier. We've got 8 players in the Elite League. We've got 16 players in the Premier League, and then we've got an open division which anyone can join underneath it. And then there's relegation and promotion between the leagues, and we've got pretty exciting prizes for each winners of the league as well. But we'll go into that after.
Well, we'll go into that probably more on Sunday. If you join this channel on Sunday, we'll go more in depth with everything that's going on in terms of the league. But someone said in the chat about they can't find games anymore in the open tier. I mean, there's people still joining. Me and Sarah are the most 2 recent people to join. I know I've not been playing a whole lot, but I've been trying to catch up with sleep and stuff like that. So if anyone's in the open tier and wants to play a game against me, let me know. I'm currently 3 wins and 2 losses, so I'm quite keen to.
I've got one question for you.
League.
How are you finding the standard of the Open League?
Absurdly good. Like, I wasn't expecting this. Because I've always been kind of near the top of the game. Like, I've always played it from the start, and I think that's what's given me maybe an advantage over other people. And the fact that I've got probably more cards than most people. So going into this Open League, I thought that'd be quite easy. I'd just get top 8, get promoted, and then I'll probably be where I feel like I should be. And then I've started playing games, and it's like, okay, this is not going to be as easy as I thought. So.
But yeah, there's still time for anyone to come and join. I mean, if you look at the top 8, you need 4 wins to get into the top 8 at the moment. Obviously, that is going to get higher as we get close to the end of the season. I mean, there's still another 2 weeks left, so there's plenty of time to catch up for everyone. But yeah, anyone in the top 8 has an equal chance of promotion. So that's your aim. In the league season, get to the top 8, and you've got a chance.
And then we're going to go to one of the divisions. There's Premier B. And this is actually probably the most competitive Premier out of the two, because holy cow! This is actually insane. All the people have beaten all the people in here, apart from Game Grime. Poor little Game Grime. 4-0 4 times.
Oh dear. He's got to get around somewhere.
Well, maybe. Who's going to be the first to drop a game? We'll see, I guess.
Well, we were talking in this.
Freaker at this point.
It probably will be. Freak has been so scared to play his games, and I still need to make my decks, I need to do this, I need to do that, so hopefully he gets a move on very soon.
We were talking last week in this league about this the Tankatine show. He'd won 3 out of 3. He was storming away with the lead, and now in the past week he's played 1, lost 1 against Vitus, and Vitus has taken the storming lead. He's 2 points ahead of him, but he's also got that important. He's got important couple of 4-0 wins, which could be crucial.
He's also got the head-to-head. He's got the head-to-head over Tankatine, but then he has lost the head-to-head against Snowwolf. So while it's so close at the top, like if Snowwolf gets equal points as Vitus, he's ahead. If Tankatine gets equal points, he's behind, and it's a bit all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah, if they're all level, it comes down to game difference. So 4-0s could become very important.
And Vitus has dropped 5 games. He's won 2 4-0. 2-3-1 and lost 3-1, I believe.
Yep.
The results there, which is incredibly good, to be honest. And
it's a really good record he's got.
I think we were all kind of surprised by the loss that came in.
Yeah, well, once he'd beaten Tankatine, I thought, oh, that's it, he's going to go ahead and win all 7 games. And then I woke up one morning, he'd lost to Snowy Wolf, and all of a sudden the league's wide open again.
I mean, it is quite competitive up at the top there. Like you say, you know, all three of them at the top can easily just take a game off each other like that.
Yeah. And then we've still got the wild card, Freaker, who's going to start playing his games this weekend, who we know he's a top player, so he could come in and spoil the party as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm expecting good things from Freaker, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well,
No pressure.
I almost think that everyone's expecting a bit too much from Freaker, but go ahead, Wes.
I'm kind of interested to see how Goth does as well. I've known Goth for quite a while while she played Hearthstone as well on the same team as I did. And I haven't looked at lead for a couple of days. So her going 0-1-1's interesting. I think she'll catch up, but that's the thing as well. Goth and Keyshak they played 2 games compared to 4 or 5. And I mean, you know, that league is ridiculous. You know, now I'm scared because I'm 1-0-0 in my league, and I'm like, if my league's that tight, I could still finish 7th. You know, but I don't think we've got a 0-4 at the moment, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that currently, though.
I'm pretty sure Musher's got that covered, but let's go into having a look at that. So we can currently see Musher's top, which is maybe a lie.
Oh, I'm bottom, essentially.
Well, yeah, you've played 6, won 1, drawn 2, lost 3, which I don't think is going to be good enough to keep you up unless you can absolutely perform miracles against Zouts. And
I think if I win, I should be fine. But
I fine if you.
It's going to be close, that's for sure.
That's fine. If I go down, I'll just play you next season.
Yeah, you come join me in the open tier. So, Wes, when are you going to start playing your games? Because you're 4th at the minute with the 1-0-0. You beat Musher 3-1. And it's kind of... Everyone's kind of played 1 match in that tier, so we kind of need things to get moving, but we've still got time, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's still 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I was aiming to try and get a few games in last weekend, which didn't happen, unfortunately, but because there's been no changes, I feel like I could probably go for it this weekend if I start with a couple of hours tomorrow. Because I think one of the things that's actually really underestimated is coming into a tournament game. just having the right mindset sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, not the fact that I'm not tilted or, Jesus Christ, I'm about to flip my keyboard out the window. I mean, more to the point of, I know my decks, I know how I'm going to play and how I can win things, so I feel like, I don't know, I'm not 100% at the moment, so I won't be playing tonight, but, you know, tomorrow, after a couple of hours, I definitely think it's possible.
Okay, well, you have to see who you can organise games against.
I can see Potty in the chat, so Potty, send him a message. Send Wes a message. Get some games organised. I know you've been after some games tonight. Actually, I've seen you in the league Discord. So, but yeah. So we're good to see some games before Sunday.
On. We need to get everyone to get a move on. Yeah, we've got to see some
games played before Sunday.
It's a bit close. Like, there's 4 people that have played one game, and all of them are on more than 0 points. So at this point, anyone can go down. There's not enough real information to go on who's going to do the best here. But yeah, we can move into the Promised Land, where the people from the top of Premier are going to get promoted to. That's the Elite Division. Now, this isn't up to date. There's been a league match since this screenshot's taken, but it's
Freeb beat Unforgiven 3-1. So Freeb has actually gone second, and Unforgiven has dropped to fourth.
Yeah, and Suki down to third. But that's the little difference there. We can see Crick has played loads of games. He's played 5 of his 7, and he's actually got quite a good record. 2-2 isn't by any means bad. And I know he picked up a win against Suki, which was, I'd say, unexpected. Personally.
The last two games in this league have completely blown it open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Unforgiven and Suki were the only ones unbeaten, apart from Injection, who's been away at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They were the only ones unbeaten after the first week, and then all of a sudden, Cricky beats Suki, Freed beats Unforgiven, and now everyone's lost a game, and it's absolutely wide open again.
Yeah.
So it's impossible. This is actually impossible to call who will get in the top 4 and who will go down.
Answer this for me. When you've seen the last 2 results, how excited did you get? Because you're currently 1-0-1. So your chance of actually winning the swag.
I was praying for Tsuki to lose at least one match to give me a chance, and now he's done it, so I've got a chance again. It's only a small chance because, Jesus Christ, there's no easy games.
No, exactly.
I think an interesting thing to look at as well is, I didn't completely take in all of the stuff from the Premier B, but between the Premier A and the top tier here, there's only been 3 draws, which I think is going to be really interesting. I'm really interested to see how the draws affect the standings at the end of the seasons.
Yeah. The whole idea of being able to get the 1 point, like, for me, tournament games where there's a best of 3, it makes sense to be knockout if it's a tournament, or a cup, I should say. But with the league system, being able to get like half the points for having a good game, rather than losing 3-2 and getting absolutely nothing for your troubles, I feel like having a 2-2 possibility and being able to get that 1 point is actually going to make the league a lot closer. As you can see here in the Premier, Wolves only played 1, Interjections played none. So if we just discount them quickly, YX to Crick is 3 points, and like everyone's played at least 2. So it's so close. That's a win and a draw, and everyone's got at least 2 games left. So it's possible for anyone to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't like to call who's going to win this.
Me neither. But yeah, so I think this is the part of the show we'll move on to deck discussion.
No, I've got one more thing to mention.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
We've got the Community Cup first round has been released by Zalx. If you head over onto the RS Chronicles subreddit, there is a link there to the draw. How it's been drawn, there's a round of 64 to start us off. Deck lists need to be submitted, I think, by the 5th of May. And then you've got a week to play your first game. And what I've done, I've picked out three of the bigger games in the first round, so we can have a mention about them. There's no seedings, so there've been some pretty big matchups in this earlier stage.
I mean, we know some people's run-ups to the final are going to be absolutely insane. Like, if you want to get to there, it's going to be like you have to beat all the best players. So
I think the one thing I worked out was 7 of the Elite Division are all in one half of the draw.
Oh, that's
rough.
That's
going to be hard. But yeah, the first game that I've seen involves my co-host Ryan, and he's been drawn against Interjection. So you've had a tough call in the tournaments you've entered.
Yeah, Wolf in the first one, and now Interjection in this one. This is fun, isn't
Battle
it?
of the Brits, isn't it?
Yeah. But
how do you fancy your chances?
I think I can take it. Honestly, with Interjection, he's been away for the past week or so. But even beforehand, he's just been playing a lot of Dungeoneering. I honestly think that maybe he's not going to have the most match practice per se. And I think I could honestly take him. I've got some good decks running, and I've got some that are quite unpredictable, and I'm definitely willing to test a few in the open tier. I'll sacrifice a few games there if I have to try and get some good, unpredictable, and just good all-round decks. But yeah, I fancy my chances to take him. And if I go through, I think I've actually got someone I've not heard of maybe in the next round. So
could be good, could be
YX
bad.
or Game Grime.
It's YX or Game Grime. So it's the one after that. My bad. I've got YX probably in the next round. So it's a rough start for me, basically.
Are you calling a 0-3 there?
Well, you can't
best
get
of three,
4.
best of
So
5. Oh, no, it's best of 3. So.
best of 3. So
Yeah.
2-0, I think. But
So
yeah,
Glenn can't get 4-0.
I'm going to call my own score. I'm going to say I'm going to beat Interjection 2-1.
Ooh, shots fired.
That's some brave words.
Well, you can
I'm
come
not
back
gonna
to this
lie,
when I lose and just ridicule me, but
I'm gonna go 2-0 Interjection.
thanks. Well, that's it, guys. I
think
need
I'll
a
get
new
one game.
co-host. I need a new co-host for next week. Send applications in. That's great.
The second match I've got involves another one of our guests. It's Crazy Helm against Musher.
Yeah.
Now,
not too
Crazy
happy with
Helm.
that.
No, Crazy Helm was didn't enter the Legends Invitational despite being invited, but his only other competitive experience, he got to the semi-final of the closed beta Community Cup. So he's another very strong player.
Crazy Helm's incredibly good. It's just it feels like he doesn't really want to play competitively, which I kind of understand. But I definitely think he's going to get far in this tournament if he carries on playing it. So good luck,
So, I mean,
Musher.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping
what
he's
do you
not going to
think,
get far, but I'm expecting to lose that game. Yeah.
He's a good player. So, but yeah, next match.
The other one is a Team Cabbage matchup. It's Cricky against Bundy. That's an Elite League player against a Premier League player.
But by no
So
means
it's
a judge
another
of their skill there. This is going to be a good game, that one. And I really feel like it's going to be a good game.
The only thing that's guaranteed in that is there's going to be cabbages flying everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's hand is going to be bricked up by chapter 2. It's going to be great.
Double Melzar, first 2 cards each.
If there's not 4 Melzars played in the first chapter, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yep.
Double Melzar into double Cabbage, best combo.
Oh, he'll back up
Heals
that
you-
8
yeah,
damage.
heals you to full. Heals you to full. Now, if I don't see that, then that should be an achievement, shouldn't it?
Yep.
You and your opponent.
That'd be
Definitely.
class. But yeah, so next week we won't have any results to talk about yet. I'll probably pick out another couple of games because there are some other big games I haven't mentioned. And then I think in 2 weeks' time we'll have some results to talk about, and maybe there'll be some surprises. I hope not personally because I want to win, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're going to lose. But yeah, now we can move on to the deck discussion. And this week, blame Glenn if it's a bad deck. We've got
no, this first deck is a good deck.
Donderkun's Raptor is the name of it. You can see the 15 cards it's got 2 of on the screen. I'm going to read them out quickly. There's Ali Morisan, Fight Cauldron, Monolith Chamber, Rock Cake, Element Armor, Bash, Berserker Shield, Donderkun's Cannon and Saradomin Brew for the support, and KGP Agent, Void Brawler, Armored Zombie, Skeleton Warrior, White Wolf, and Ice Nineth. So, a very cheap deck. I don't think
there's
there's
only
many.
4 sapphires.
Well, there you go. 4 sapphires in the deck. And yeah, so Glenn, how do you play this deck?
Basically, it's very simple to play this. You build up as much armor as you possibly can, all the way until you manage to draw your Donderkun's Cannons, and ideally, you play both the Donderkun's Cannons in Chapter 5 when you've got 40 or so armor, and you try and win the game before the final fight. If you do end up getting to the final fight, you've got all that armor behind you, and you should still be okay because there's, I think, 4 attack gain throughout the deck. So the Monolith Chamber, although that removes armor, that's so you can kill the Ice Nihil early if you need to, or if you don't want to take any damage from the White Wolf. So yeah, that's it's basically that. You sacrifice your health early on to build up your armor, and then you Saradomin Brew and Dondakon's Cannon.
Okay, that makes, I guess, sense. You got good tech cards in there, such as Bash, to get rid of opponents' weapons and stuff like that. The thing with Monolith Chamber into Eisenhill is, yeah, sure, you sacrifice 3 armor to play Monolith Chamber, but you get at least 4 back off Eisenhill, so it's always a net gain. There's no way I can do bad.
The one thing I will say about this deck is it has got a very obvious weakness, which is a couple of cards that do damage equal to your armor or remove your armor, but they're not very common in the meta at the moment. So this deck, unless it's predictable, you should be safe.
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it there. Like things like, is it Green Dragon, which strips all your armor? Things like that.
Yeah, someone used that against me earlier when I was testing.
But yeah, it's not common still. Fire Surge is obviously another big counter, but it's rough as an RyanN to play that card because she's got so many cards that you want to play already, and Fire Surge isn't seeing really much play at the minute.
No, it's quite hard to fit it into an RyanN deck at the moment unless a lot of people start using this kind of deck.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see it being a regular tech card, so you should be pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of surprised to not see any rock crabs in there though. You know, for a bit of because they've got a small amount of health healing with a bit of armor.
Honestly, it's because I don't have them on my ult. So yeah, the other card you could get into this, yeah, definitely rock crab. What are the other armor cards that you can get?
There's a few cheap ones.
Green Dragon. There's a what?
There's a few cheap ones.
Yeah.
But I honestly think this deck is probably good enough to climb at least out of bronze.
The only other thing that I would potentially add, because I think there's a little bit of gold gain here, is potentially add a couple of weapons, so just as an extra win condition if you get to the final fight.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, if you built up enough armor and your Dondakon's Cannon haven't killed them, you should have enough armor to last through the final fight if you've played it right. It's got Saradomin's Brew in there, so you can sacrifice your health with Monolith Chamber and Void Brawler, and then you could just heal straight back up again with Saradomin's Brew. You have to be careful when you're using things that lower your health, because RyanN and Venescula quite obviously don't like to deal with armor, so they'll do their best to ignore it. So yeah, that's what Saradomin's Brew are there for. If you're mulliganing early, I'd say you probably want White Wolves for the draw, KGB agents just to get your base attack up that a little bit. They're not as key as in other decks, but you definitely want gold gain. So Ali Morisan's a must draw.
Yeah, what I generally find here, there's not really a lot that can go wrong with the mulligan, because the majority of the deck you can play straight away. So like Ali, Fight Call, I mean most of all the free support cards you can play straight away, and apart from the Eisenhill, you're willing to tank the rest of the fight cards. So yeah, it's quite an easy deck to play.
It's quite a good deck as well in terms of how much grief is on ladder at the moment, I guess as well, especially in the case of maybe something like Melzar, where they try and fill up your hand so that you don't draw again a full hand, whereas this it's very aggressive at the cards that you're facing, so you're just going to slam down 4 cards every chapter pretty much.
Yeah. It's very hard to get a bricked hand with this deck.
Yeah, because you can play most things every turn, so but yeah, you want to try and keep the Dondakon's Cannons for as long as you can before you use them. The
one thing you don't want to do, which I've managed to do twice, is to KGP your Dondakon's Cannons.
Oh.
Because that's your win condition gone.
Well, KGP is like the worst card ever. Oh, you wanted just this one whole card in your hand. Just this one, yeah? Yeah, sorry, bye. And it's gone. So, we all know KGP discards your best card, and that they should just change the text, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's the case here. But if we move on to the expensive Raptor deck, some people might be a bit more comfortable with. We've gone for an armor gain Raptor as opposed to a standard AP gain Raptor. We'll explain why in a second, but I'm just going to go through the cards quickly. So you've got Kizage Tournament, Barricade, Kale, BKT, or Black Knight Titan, Redbeard Frank, and Corporeal Beast as the diamonds, so it's only got one of each of them. But then it's got 2 Saradomin's Brew, 2 KGP, 2 Void Brawler, 2 Crassian Warriors, 2 Dagonoth Fledglings, a Kalphite Emissary, 2 White Wolves, 2 Count Draenors, 2 Eisenhills, 2 Animated Almas, 2 Sergeant Slimetoes, a Tustok Jad, and 2 Dagonoth Sentinels. So it's a bit of a mix of everything, and I think when we're making this deck, it works because it kind of has a lot of armor gain to it. But so if you can sustain the damage throughout the game, you can actually build up your attack for that final fight.
The good thing about this is that there are plenty of other options you can go about it. I mean, there's only one Jad there. You can quite easily put a second one in. It's got a couple of tech cards which are quite handy with the current meta. The Kalphite Emissary, the Black Knight Titan, and the Redbeard Frank. You can quite easily change them out for anything really, because they're not key to the deck's core. So it's just a nice little change to the card, depending on what you're experiencing in the meta at the moment.
Yep, and especially against things like spellbooks, Kale is perfect because, like, you can take a risk on something quite big. Like if you've got the damage to kill something, you just whack down a Kale beforehand. And then if they've played their boost, it's like it was no problem anyway. You're still taking it out in one hit. So that's what cards like that are used for here.
There's another couple of ways you can go about this as well. Because you've got so much armor, you can potentially add a couple of destroys in there, and that gives you the option to destroy something like a Bilrak for a couple of AP gain, or one-shotting your Court Beasts or something. That could give you a massive armor gain. What else?
Can I just say, whilst you were thinking, no other members of this podcast would ever recommend playing Bilrak in any deck.
See, this is where you're wrong. I'm coming around to the idea that is not a terrible card.
See, for me, Bilraks can be bad because, basically, if you do destroy into it, and you're on full health, sorry, and then you just take 10 damage because the opponent was on less health than you. So, for me, Bilrak's not as good.
But 2 AP gain in one slot is massive.
It's very situationally good, I think. If you can tank a Bilrak and then still like heal back up to full because the opponent hasn't taken any damage, then sure, it's a great card. But I don't know, it's too unpredictable. You can't really play a whole chapter with the idea, especially if you're second, with the idea of I'll be able to heal up to this amount because my opponent's on this amount of health. Because any damage they take then reflects on you, especially like when you play Bilrak. So I don't know, it's not as amazing as everyone probably as some people think, but it's probably not as bad as others think.
I think it's just too situational, to be honest. Like there is some matchups where you just you're not going to be able to kill it because killing it gets you too low, and you're going to be scared, of your opponent even dealing, say, 5 damage to you in one chapter. And then there's going to be times where your opponent keeps himself too low, say you're playing like Nagro Venescula. Ideally, then they're never going to be above 15. So, what do you do then?
Bilrak's effect's going to do basically nothing for you.
Yeah, it would. I agree. It wouldn't be a very good card in that kind of matchup.
But yeah, this interesting deck. Redbeard Frank is there mainly to wreck spellbooks and obviously, if it becomes a thing, Goldzan. A couple of people have been playing Goldzan.
The Redbeard Frank can absolutely mess up any deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching Unforgiven against Freeb in their league game earlier, and they were both playing Armor Stack Raptors, but Unforgiven was playing Donderken's version. And Freeb put down a Redbeard Frank, got rid of 11 gold from Unforgiven, and he just couldn't. That just stopped him building armor in Donderken's cannoning, and it won him the game. So it can work even against decks that don't build much gold up. Every deck will need a little bit of gold, so if you can just disrupt that just pushes them back. It slows them down so much.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, it draws you 2 cards, right? So even if you don't get rid of any gold, you draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
It seems fine.
We'll come on to Redbeard Frank and have a little discussion about it in a little bit, because we haven't got any game balances to talk of. So I've made up a few that I think should definitely be a case, but we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. This deck, I think it could definitely be played at high levels, high level gold especially. Tournament play, maybe not so much, because people are likely to, if you've made a name for yourself playing decks like this, people will just tech in Green Dragon and completely ruin your entire game. So I think this is good on ladder, but maybe not so good when it comes to competitive play, personally.
Yeah, again, it's all about being surprised. So you don't want to. If you don't want to play this kind of deck, you don't want to play it over and over and over and over again on a ladder, because then eventually you're coming up against the same people and they will take against it. So this is a nice kind of deck. If you've got a couple of different types of Raptor build, this is a nice one to throw in to try and throw your opponent off.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like you say, I think it would be good when it came to a tournament. Say you'd lost with a standard, like kind of, well, I don't want to say Dark Strike because people don't really play it anymore, but that kind of AP stacking Raptor. Say you'd lost with that, and then you swap to this deck for your second match. Your opponent's still going to think you're playing, like a more AP stacking game.
Yeah.
And they're just not going to be prepared for your game plan. So
yeah. And it means they'll change their mulligan. Yeah, they'll change their mulligan. They'll change the way they play early on, and that could be enough to just tip the game balance in your favor.
It's also quite a hard deck to. I run an AP stack deck which has probably somewhere between 20 and 25 of the same cards. So in the first couple of chapters, if you're able to, you could probably just say, make it look as though you're playing normal AP Raptor, and then just suddenly go, I just Donderkin cannoned your face off.
I mean, it's definitely a thing you could tech into this deck. Donderkins.
Yes.
I don't know. With this deck, it's got so many win conditions in terms of you can stop the opponent getting theirs. That's a win condition in itself. You can stack a bit of armor and a little bit of AP so you can win in the final fight. Or you can, if you take in something like Donderkins, you can literally just smash their face off with armor. So it's got a few win conditions, and it can be built differently, as Glenn said earlier, with different amounts of, if you don't want to play animated armors, that's fine, take them out. If you want to play Virago with animated armor, because it's a very good combo there. There's a few different options here, but yeah, this is a good deck, I think.
With no Donderkin's cannon like I thought there was.
I tried to recover it for you.
I know
It's
you
definitely
did.
one card that you can put in.
Yeah.
As I said, it's got a few tech cards at the moment: Frank, Titan, and Emissary. You can quite easily take a couple of those out, or a couple of something else, and put a Donderkin's cannon in. I don't think it would weaken it. It might even strengthen it in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, Musher's going to take this deck and just put 2 Malzars in and run it.
Yoga.
Yeah,
2
that's
Malzars, done.
It needs joggers though. You need to put joggers in if you can do that.
It's all Joga now.
You're such
Right.
a joker.
Are you guys hyped for the most exciting part of the podcast for me? It's the live Dungeoneering draft, guys.
Oh.
And this is going to be an absolute mess, because the choice we are faced with is Linza or the Raptor.
Hang on, before you do this, do you want to talk through the result from last week, or?
Okay, so last week we did the draft, and I asked for everyone's predictions in the chat afterwards, which I noted them all down, and they're on a Word file saved in my computer somewhere. But I managed to go 8-3 with that deck, which is a surprise to, I think, everyone. Jesus, wet, Glenn. Rip headphone users.
What? Sorry.
You whistled. But yeah, 8-3 was an absolute solid run.
Sorry, Glenn's camera's frozen.
Oh, no.
It's back. Right, so Linza or the Raptor? I think we have to go Linza.
Go for Linza. Yeah, come on.
Plus,
Give
you
you
know how much you love drafting Linza off yesterday.
Well, after I moaned profusely yesterday about, oh god, I hate Linza and this draft I've made is so bad, I actually went 12-0. I beat Glenn to go 12-0.
Yeah,
Which
don't
is-
talk about that.
Yeah.
I had an Ozan one that I went 12-1 with, so I'm not too unhappy.
So the first round we have Bunyip, Calphite Emissary, Dwarven Miner, Weapon Poison, and Variant Museum.
Yeah, I think you definitely want the Dwarven Miner. Though.
Yeah, I think you have to take Dwarven Miner, but there's actually good. There's a couple of good cards here. I like Calphite Emissary and I like Variant Museum. Variant Museum you can play without a weapon for just 2 gold.
Yeah, I personally would take Variant Museum. Weapon Poison is just a trash card.
Yep.
Bunyip I don't think is very useful in a Linza deck.
I think it's good when you've already got things that can use it, but because it's so early on, I don't think it's actually.
To be fair, you want your gold to be spent on weapons and buffing weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be messing around with creatures with the Bunyip.
I'm taking Dwarven Miner.
So yeah, it is between the Emissary and the Museum. Personally, I'd probably go for the Museum.
One thing to point out, I would say, is that with Calphite Emissary, you're playing Linza, so you've also got Tool Belt as
Yeah.
as an option.
That's a good-
So
that's a
I
good
would
point,
take the Varrock Museum over the Emissary personally.
I think you've swung me with that point there, actually.
And before you don't draw any toolbox.
Toolbox, yeah. Well, yeah. We're going to take Varrock Museum and move on. Right, so we have Crassian Warrior, Chaotic Rapier, Sack of Sharks, Anti-Fire Potion, and Goblin Trickster. So I'm going to take
Anti-Fire
Anti-Fire Potion because it's the best card in the game.
Anti-Fire Potion's a Rune Dragon.
Solid.
Seriously, I probably.
Goblin
think-
Trickster's, I think, is pretty much a must pick at this point.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
It ruins lives. The amount of times I've had my Tetsu Katanas discarded and my spellbooks and Amulet of Fury, all the cards that you built your deck around, and they get discarded because of Goblin Trickster, I know it can win games.
It's
I
just
think
too
Chaos-
good, I think, against certain decks. Like
Yeah.
Goblin Trickster
Yeah,
is
if you
great
get rid
against Ozan. It's great against Linza. Against RyanN, you hit spellbooks.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems too good not to take.
Gets rid of Amulets of Furies and Raptor as well.
Yeah, literally.
I also
everything
think
you
that
want.
stack of. Sorry.
I'm gonna go with Rapier, and now the reason is
It procs Dust
what
Devil.
I've. No.
It does,
What
but
What do you mean it blocks?
it
Dust Devil?
procs Dust
Oh,
Devil.
No. The reason behind this is what I find in Dungeoneering is there's a lot of armor knocking around in decks you wouldn't necessarily expect it, so you could quite easily get a cheeky little 3 or 4/3 weapon.
It depends how useful that is, though. Like, I'm definitely leaning towards Goblin Trickster because of how powerful the effect is. But then for me, it's between Crassian Warrior and Chaotic Rapier.
I'd
Yeah,
actually be tempted not to take the Crassian Warrior and to take the Chaotic Rapier here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Chaotic Rapier is a good card because it gives you that what you need to take on a Dust Devil.
Yeah.
which
But it
is
also
obviously
gives you
good.
the option for it to become quite a good weapon if your opponent builds a little bit of armor.
Okay, I agree. I think I'm just going to go for it then. Goblin Trickster and
There you go.
Chaotic Rapier.
7 card studs just said in the chat he got a 14/3 earlier from a Chaotic Rapier, so
Well, there you go.
that would be a very good card against the 2 Raptor decks we've just
God.
built.
Oh god, this
Take your
choice.
Linza decks now, boys.
This choice is awful. Raging Calphite, Solomon Medini, Tuzhahu, Stinkiers, and Work Order. For me, this picks itself.
Not bad.
I don't
Medini,
think
Work
it's
Order.
bad. Yeah, I mean, they're both solid cards. Like,
Yeah, but I mean
you know,
the other ones.
The other
is-
3 are terrible, but
yeah, that's more
you've
the
got
thing
two,
that picked
two
it.
decent choices.
I don't think there needs to be much discussion about that.
No.
Saucy Bench Deckhand, Major Mary, Solomon Medini again, Flurry, and Penguin Sheep. Oh, this is
Major
rough.
Mary can be massive again. It's just such a good card.
It can be good, but how often in Dungeoneering do you see people building up massive weapons?
Well, no, just not even building up weapons, but using weapons.
I suppose, yeah, using that into
Weapons used
something
a
like
lot.
Repurpose. I mean, I did that in my own runs
Yeah,
yesterday.
It's very good if you go on second as well and you don't have a weapon yourself to take into the final fight. You can just
Yeah.
block them having one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're ahead going into the final fight, you know, and they say equip a weapon, you've just won by getting rid of it.
Yeah, okay. So, Major Mary's pretty much a take at this point, but what else do we take with it?
I'd probably go for the Medini.
Another one?
Yeah.
Another one.
It's between that or the deckhand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get like Barkatoads or Ladies 8 later on.
I feel like I want to take the deckhand just in case we do get something that uses cannonballs. We already have a Medini, and at this point we haven't got a way to get any gold this early. Obviously, it
One
could come later
important
on.
thing to remember is Medini is an ally, not equipment, so Dwarven
Yeah.
Miner can't actually reduce the cost as well.
I think
So
for
there's
that
an
reason,
advantage synergy there compared to other weapons you
I
can pick up.
think for that reason I'm going to take Saucy Witch deckhand. Purely 'cause
Also,
it
with
opens.
deckhand,
Oh, carry on.
sorry. People generally tend to pay or to get exactly the amount of gold they need for things.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that that's almost like an OCD thing.
Yeah.
I do it a lot.
Early game.
And so just removing 1 gold from them is literally like turning someone's pencil 20 degrees to the left. And it just triggers them so much.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right there. Early game, a lot of people try to just get the exact amount of gold that they need for something. Well, not necessarily try, but they do get the exact amount of gold they need. And then if you just take that 1 gold off them, it can actually like stop them getting something like an Amulet of Fury or a Spellbook off. So, but yeah, we've taken that, and into the next round 5, we have Tok Chill, Work Order, Crassian Warrior, Full Tetsu, and Pirate's Hideout. Only one of these cards is actually a guaranteed pick for me, and that's Full Tetsu.
Tetsu.
It's an equipment, so synergizes with Dwarven Miner, and it's absolutely insane.
It's such a good card. 14 health for 5 gold is ridiculous.
I think this is the point where you want to take the Crassian, personally.
Yeah.
Crassian's a good card.
You've got no draws, and also the thing is, with taking Full Tetsu as well, you're going to have, what is that, like 11 or 12 cost total, and have you got any gold income yet?
Yeah, Goblin Trickster gives 1.
Trickster, so you've got like very little gold income at the moment as well. I mean, Work Order's okay, Pirate Hideout, purely because of the deckhand, but you know how that's gone before for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think
all the
Full
cannonballs on those,
I think Full Tetsu and the Crassian is definitely the right pick here.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so we have Pulverize, Dragon Bone Upgrade, Oozing Calvite, Mutineer, and Beer. I like Pulverize because if you can get yourselves, you get your hands on a Tetsu Katana, that's 16 damage, and you only realistically need 4 gold if you've got a Dwarven Miner, so it's very feasible to get that, especially the amount of people that will take a Kizaj tournament in Dungeoneering, even with stupid decks like RyanN. People take Kizaj and then give you the gold that you'll need to buy things like this. So
yeah. Now don't laugh at me here, but I think the other pick is between Beer and Oozing Calvite.
I don't like Oozing Calvite at all. I don't like Oozing Calvite at all. So for that reason, I don't think we're taking that.
Okay.
It's an A5. It's too difficult to take on without using.
Yeah, that's the only problem I've got is how you kill it.
The weapon charge could be strong. So
Beer can it's a nice little bit of
it gives you reach.
Cheaty ramp. Yeah.
It gives you
and
reach,
you haven't got any AP gain yet. So you need something so you can kill a Crassian or the deckhand or something like that.
It gives you a small amount of reach with some armor as well, is the other thing. So, like, you can sometimes, I'm pretty sure I've won due to the 2 armor that I gave me at some point.
Even if you don't use the temporary attack, you can use the armor, which is definitely a thing. So I agree. I'm going to take that.
The other good thing to mention is Saucy Wench Deckhand's voice thing says "Yay beer," so like a flavor win.
Synergies, boys.
Right, so Friday night
into deckhand.
Round 7 is Burnt Meat, Rune Dragon, The Adventurous, Kirill Tutsaroth, and Ice Troll, and I am so sad right now.
I get this pick.
What the fuck do we take here?
This is grim.
I think at this point we have to take The Adventurous and Burnt Meat.
No.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Because the reasoning for that is because the 3 minions are actually too difficult to take down. And if you draw the Adventurous early enough and you haven't got the gold, you can just play it, just get it out of the way, so it's not bricking your hand, and you can actually just get rid of it. Burnt Meat's actually quite an okay card for draw.
I disagree. I would go for the Rune Dragon because it's a Linza deck, the Linza draft. The chances are you're going to get a Katana in the Diamond round, and if you can go Katana into Rune Dragon, you'll take 7 damage, get another 4 gold. You'll have a 12-1 weapon into Pulverized, 24 damage.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
And also, whatever your next creature is dead pretty much.
Okay, so I suppose if we could get something that strikes.
Yeah, if you don't mind taking a hit from a Rune Dragon, because you're going to be building into a big combo that wins you the game.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Rune Dragon's an option, because at the moment, if you take Burnt Meat and Adventurous, you've just got too much draw, because as you know, with Linza, at the best of times, you can get a bricked hand. Yeah. So in Dungeoneering, it's going to be worse. So you're just going to be building up cards that you just can't play.
Okay. And also, even with Medini into Rune Dragon, you'll take 14 damage, and you've practically then paid for the full Tetsu to recover and have the effect as well.
Yeah, but you won't get the 4 attack because you'll waste the weapon.
But if we get something like a...
but it's Desperate Times, maybe.
Yeah, or Durability Edition as well onto the weapon.
Okay, I'd take Rune Dragon, but what else?
think you want the adventurous because some of the pirates can be helpful. You can even get a Scarface Pete off it.
Basically, the decision becomes whether you think you'd rather draw 4 cards from your deck or 3 pirates. Which one's better?
In Dungeoneering, I think pirates, personally. Mutineer discards a card.
That's your decision made then.
There's enough that discards gold, remove 2 gold, remove 1 gold. And it just all round annoys your opponent, to be honest.
I also feel like being at 3 cards as opposed to 4 is a huge difference, like in hand, because to burnt meat and not overdraw with your draw step, you need to be on 3 cards.
Yeah.
Whereas for adventurous, you can, have 1 more card in your hand and still use it without overdraw, which sounds a bit silly, but that can come up quite a lot.
Alright, so
especially in Dungeoneering.
Round 8, I'm just moving on. I've took the 2 cards we were discussing, the Adventurous and Rune Dragon. But we have Armadillion Golem, Living Rock Brawler, Ice Warrior, Mimic, and Ali Morizan.
We have to take Ali.
We have to take Ali.
At this point.
I think the Warrior needs to be taken as well.
Ice Warrior is incredible, so...
Yeah,
I mean, Living Rock Brawler is a little bit close, but considering it just buffs a weapon which you might not have and gives you 1 less gold than the Ice Warrior...
The Ice Warrior weapon goes into so much that it's actually invaluable. If you get her weapon, that's 8 damage. You can Dust Devil off it, that's -1 base attack, obviously. You can repurpose, give you 10 armor. It gives you reach into things like Crassian Warrior, and just overall Ice Warrior is probably one of the best cards for Lindsay, in my opinion. It's actually insane. I drafted 2 yesterday, and it, like I said, I went 12-0, so there must be a good card. Oh my god, thank god Interjection's not here. We've just got a King Black Dragon offered. Round 9, KVD, Ogre Warlord, Solomon Medini again, Celtic Rapier again, and Cake Mix.
Call me crazy, I don't think the King Black Dragons are that bad.
I do. Because
you don't want to be using
realistically, you'll be wasting your weapon.
Attacking. Yeah. You want your weapon to strike.
So basically,
put
the
it
idea
in the example of you'll be wasting a mediocre weapon for a good weapon.
What mediocre weapon can you use that? I don't want to take 16 damage off that King Black Dragon. That's insane.
We took the first Chaotic Rapier.
But that's not guaranteed
to be good.
Attack.
No.
I think I like Chaotic and Ogre Warlord here, in all honesty.
Ogre Warlord's a solid card.
Even with Solomon Medini, if you're on 2 base, you're going to take 6, gain 5 armor, potentially lose them some armor, and gain a base attack. That's...
Well, Medini as well gives...
spend the entire game stacking armor, and then you do that in chapter 5,
Yeah. Well, Medini gives you 4 fucking block from Warlord anyway. So you're going to take 2 health damage off that, if you haven't got any more armor, and then get 5 armor back up again, so... I definitely think Warlord's
Warlord
a thing,
and Rapier,
Celtic Rapier.
Yeah, it's between the Medini and the Rapier, I think.
I think you've already got 2 Medinis, haven't you?
No, just the 1. But the thing is, for me, it's
gold is a bit low right now.
It's an ally, so we can't rely on Dwarven Miner if we need to. So I think we take Celtic Rapier. I forgot to have the thing up. We've got 14 gold gain at the minute, so that's a bit rough.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we'll take Celtic Rapier for now. Round 10. Oh god. Rune Dragon, Malzar the Mad, Gluttonous Behemoth, Cerberus, and 50 ships. Malzar.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
Malzar and 50
for Team Cabby.
Yeah, I'll take Malzar 100%. 50 ships move faster because it's a card that's not going to brick you compared to the other 3, and the Adventurous is a proc for it. So
yeah,
I think that's a guaranteed pick there.
Yeah, Cerberus is just a trash card. Behemoth is too difficult to kill in this deck. And Rune Dragon, we've already got 1. I don't think you need to worry about getting a second one of those just yet.
Oh, Rune Dragon into weapons. Rune Dragon combos. Take the 50 ships. Right, round 11. Crassian Warrior, Tuzhahu, Goblin Trickster, Penguin Sheep, and Work Order. I'd like to take another Work Order here. Even if you can use the crappy weapons like Chaotic Rapier into it, it could still annoy your opponent. Can make them waste a weapon charge, which means they go into something bigger later on. Just things like that. Just things to annoy your opponent. I actually quite like with Lindsay.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, it's 1 gold that you don't need a weapon for.
Exactly.
Because you still get the gold.
And
Can I just give a shout out to It's Not Easy Ryan, who's actually got this stream on his 50-inch TV, and I've just seen a picture of it, and it's ridiculous.
that is commitment. That is. Get to see all of our faces in high definition. But
Hope you're enjoying Glenn's neck in that.
but, Goblin Trickster work order for me. I don't know if there's any other options. Like we said earlier, you don't want to brick too hard as Linza, so I don't think having two Crassians is a good thing.
The problem is having two Crassians. You've not got any easy attack game.
No, not yet.
So you're gonna take a hit from a war Crassian.
Yeah.
So I think Trickster and work order.
Yeah, I think
if you take too many Crassians, you get those openers where you keep one because you think, oh, card draw's good, don't draw any base attack gain, and then you have to take 7.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you say, it's not what you want to be doing, really.
Right, round 12. Dragonbone upgrade, Lesser Demon, Revenant Orc, Mutineer, and Gravite Longsword. Now, Gravite Longsword's pretty much an instant pick for me. Especially having two work orders, though. That is strong.
Well, Gravite into work order is a good combo.
Yeah. For me, the other one is probably going to be Lesser Demon. Mainly because of the gold it drops.
That's a lot of damage, though.
Not
you're gonna take.
Really, because we've got a few 1-something weapons. So
I suppose.
It's between that or the Mutineer, right? Like,
I don't think the Mutineer is
gold at the moment.
that strong, and I think the gold is going to be quite good.
I think if we'd have drawn some more, like, bigger weapons earlier, the Orc could have been in play, but because we haven't got
risky.
the big weapons, it's too risky. You don't want to take a hit for 8 off it.
I think Lesser Demon's the right choice, though. Chances are we're going to get offered something in the final round that's going to...
Fingers crossed you get a Tetsu.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is that if you don't take the Lesser Demon and you take the Mutineer and you've Malzard, you can actually get rid of a cabbage, which seems like a huge number. So.
Great play.
Yeah.
Right, so round 13 only has 4 cards in it now because I've just took the Ali Morisan. It's Grotworm, Mimic, Fremennik Crafter, and Armadillion Golem. For me, it's Mimic because we haven't got enough gold gain, but... Yeah.
We're close.
I've got 9, 13, 17, 19, and you've already got 22 in your deck now.
Plus
you've got 50 ships.
Dwarven Miner sometime.
Yeah,
50
so
ships
I
and Dwarven
think
Miner.
I
But at the
wouldn't
same
worry
time,
about
we
gold,
haven't
you're
got
okay.
Tetsu Katana yet, and hopefully we're going to get it.
No,
So...
that's true.
Fremennik Crafter's a bad thing for me because of the draw. Armadillion Golem's too hard to take down, the same with Grotworm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
Mimic's pretty much the only choice here. Also, you
you
can't use Ali Morisan if you've already got a weapon equipped. Like sometimes you'll need that gold to do something with the weapon. So being able to Mimic is quite good. I'm taking Mimic. Round 14, we have Doric, Grizzly Bear, Calfight Soldier, Rock Cake, and Prototype. I was thinking the all was for Prototype, but then I'm looking down and is there a real
You haven't
point?
got anything big to go into.
No, Ogre Warlord and Rune Dragon. Like Rune Dragon, you want the weapon, so you're not going to spend it on Prototype. And Ogre Warlord, it's kind of you can take that out in one hit anyway. Like you're not going to be able to take that take 10 health off it in one go. So Prototype's actually quite useless.
I would go Rock Cake, I think.
Okay, it's not a bad card.
And potentially Calfight Soldier.
I quite like Doric, actually.
Yeah, is it?
For what we've got, I think Calfight Soldier and Doric are probably my 2 preferred cards here.
Yeah, I can get on with that.
It's not great.
There's not a lot,
good, but it's better in Raptor where you've got more armor synergies.
Yeah, there's not a lot of health gain in this deck we've built, so removing 3 health is probably something you don't want to do.
Yeah, I think.
So I can get on with
Calfight
Soldier and Doric.
Yeah, and good. Oh, I'm really glad about this round 15 choice, guys.
Oh wow.
Virago, Char, Lady Zay, Redbeard Frank, and Papa Mimbo.
Oh, you haven't got a Tetsu!
No Tetsu Katana, so I might as well retire this draft already.
Oh, wow!
This is going to be rough. I'm going to have to play through this.
I think Lady Zay is a must pick.
I think at this point, with Char in there, I think Lady Zay is definitely a pick.
Oh, wow. That's rough.
So I'm taking Lady Zay, but then what
the
do we
only
take
other
with it?
thing is potentially Virago, but how do you kill it?
With my Tetsu Katana!
I'd be tempted
Is there any way of killing it? Oh, that's rough.
Redbeard Frank is probably the only other one I can go towards.
Because, I mean, a lot of people tend to hold on to a lot of gold, especially if you're playing the Venescula. They'll stay around 8 gold or so trying to get the last bit for vampire power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with you on that one. Like taking 4 damage of Redbeard Frank with like a Solomon Medini weapon. That's
Not the
nothing
end of the
because the armor that Solomon gives you absorbs the hit off Redbeard Frank. So
You might sometimes have to take 8 using like a chaotic rapier. You know, if it had no armor, but
Or a
even then,
Gravite.
if you're doing that, you know, there's probably a good reason that you want to get rid of the gold, so you're probably fine with it.
I think just Redbeard Frank is probably the best pick.
Oh, that's a bad draft.
And the only pick. Now, yesterday I was saying my draft was trash, and I went 12-0. This one is definitely trash, and is not going to go anywhere close to 12-0.
Yeah, you're not 12-0 in this one, sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. So,
Right,
in the
everyone
chat,
get your predictions.
predict what I'll be doing with this Dungeoneering draft. I might do it on stream, on my own stream. I might not.
It won't take long.
But yeah, Norton 3 shouldn't take very long. So, do you want to get some predictions in the chat, and I'll get them off you guys as well. So, if we go to Glenn first, what do you think?
Genuinely, I think you're gonna go 1 and 3.
Okay. I don't think I need an explanation, but do you have any specific reasons? It's just so bad. I'll scroll down the draft again so you can see it if you need to. Musher, what do you think?
I think you can 3 and 3 with this, in all honesty. I think, like, you know, you've got some armor there, you've got some things you can be doing, and quite frankly, early on, your opponents kill themselves half the time, so...
Mm-hmm. And Wes, are you there? I heard you mute your mic.
Yeah, I'm here. No.
What do you think this draft is going to be?
I'm stuck between 2 and 3 and 3 and 3. So
You need
many
to make-
3s.
2.5 and 3.
I'm gonna say 2 and 3.
I see why.
I don't know.
It's not
I feel
very
like
good.
there's a couple of ways that you can win the game, and that's just purely stalling out, and then trying to get to a decent weapon that can
I was
take
gonna
out
say,
something decent.
For me, the only card that can actually win me this game is Celtic Rapier, and you know
Yep.
it's bad when that's your win condition.
Well, in the chat, I think Freak has been the most generous with his prediction of 4 and 3.
So conceal 4-0.
Shut up,
Love
Soka.
it. But yeah, if you want to get your predictions in, I'm keeping a running track of who gets the score right every week, and anyone
You got
that
it right last week.
anyone that nails it, there's a few people who got it right. I don't have the list to hand, but that's stored in the computer. So anyone who like wins every 10 episodes or so, maybe we'll give a prize, something like that. But yeah, definitely get your predictions in if you want to have a chance to win here.
Can you
Now
do
a
us a favour,
session of
Ryan?
how to dungeoneer with Ryan.
Yeah.
Can you keep a list of how you win the games you win, if you win any?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
want to
that'd
know,
be
like,
nice.
if someone kills himself after
That's
his Redbeard
side
Frank
note.
on the gold away.
Prayed
or-
really, 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 really
That fucking side note, if you win any, that is absolutely brutal.
It's necessary with the deck, though. I'm sorry, man. Like,
I think
it's
I have
not a
to
good
agree.
deck.
I think I have to agree. So it looks
If
like
you
we've got
go down to
results in.
1 health, you're completely screwed in that deck. That's the one thing as
One
well.
attack.
1 attack, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Not 1.
Oh
yeah,
my
if
God.
1 health as well. I mean, come on.
Yeah, one attack would definitely screw me.
1 attack as well. You're just.
Why didn't you take the gluttonous BM off?
Oh, no, man.
I've just seen a 6 and 3 in the chat.
Jesus.
You don't
Someone
know how
literally
bad
saw
that
the
deck was.
beer get drafted and went and got a few.
I think so. I definitely think so. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap up the Dungeoneering part of this. It's a shame we got such a bad draft, but I think that's just what the game offers you sometimes. So, yeah. I think with that, we're just going to move on to the game changes. And this week, there wasn't actually that much announced. We got this screenshot on stream. The Legends, Languages, Platforms, Competition and Tournament one. So we'll just go through each bit in turn and talk about them. So the Legends, they were talking about Morvaran and also Legend skins. So first of all, are you guys hyped for Morvaran? Soon, TM?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what this new mechanic. Well, it's not a new mechanic, but it's an underused mechanic of tribes. I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of things he can add to the game. I think early on it could be either very strong or very weak. I'm not quite sure which way it's going to go. It's going to be quite a hard one to balance.
For me, it depends how many new tribal cards are added with him. There's certain tribes like goblins which are very close to being quite good. That just need a couple more cards that will sway the whole swing, and you can actually feasibly use the goblins then. But I think almost as if each tribe is lacking a little bit. Maybe the demons are probably the only one that aren't. They're all very strong cards. So for me, it's what gets added as to whether how strong he's going to be.
I think leading on from what you've said there about what gets added, I think he might be one to look back at after there's been more cards added further down the line as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if he has this synergy, and then there's, say, a tribe that's maybe one or two cards off being really good, maybe in 6 months those cards get added and suddenly, boom, you've got a deck that, you didn't when it was first released. So
yeah.
I think he's one of them that can suddenly change and become really good, even if he's not to begin with.
Yeah, even with maybe bad cards. Like, even if they added some awful tribal cards like bad goblins, there's that goblin which gains armor based on the goblins in your hand. So that like even bad goblins would buff that card. So maybe even with bad cards, we'll see Morvern get stronger and stronger. But I'm interested to see how he's going to work out. Do you guys think he's going to be balanced when he gets introduced? Or do you think some of his card mechanics are going to be absolutely broken?
I think that depends a lot on what the individual cards do.
Yeah. I think to give them the credit, when Vaneshkula came out, she wasn't too bad. There wasn't a lot of balancing work.
It was just a couple cards.
Yeah, so they've given them props. They've not done a bad job when they've brought in a new legend so far. So I'm hopeful.
See, what I think is, to argue against that, like, now they've been adding cards recently. The new cards haven't been overwhelmingly good. I think they've actually quite a few of them have been absolutely poor. And I almost think that they're trying to be cautious in case they introduce too many good cards and break the game. So I feel like with Morvern, maybe they might stick on the cautious side and make the cards not as strong and then buff them at a later point. But I'm definitely excited for him.
Yeah, it'd be nice to play another new legend.
What about skins?
I think what will be
carry on, Wes.
Sorry. I think what will be interesting with him as well is I think the closest that you guys actually didn't mention was pirates to being a full deck as well.
Yeah.
It practically is in its own archetype, but I think if there's some sort of synergy, it literally means any tribe, so it could be ogres or it could be pirates, like any tribe like that. I think pirates could literally just tilt over the edge and become really too strong almost. But as you say, I think it will be interesting. And by the way, I do have a nickname for him now because I've just seen his picture for the first time. It looks like he's got a spoon on his chest. So his new name is Spoon Chest.
Wow.
God's sake.
Spoon Vran confirmed.
Well, we got an hour and a half before Wes's first bad joke. That's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
But yeah, the other thing they announced with well, not really announced, but we've kind of all known it was coming for a while, is the skin customization and being able to play different skins with your legends. And for me, I'm quite excited for that. I hope they can take it to extremes. I'd like to see maybe some, I don't know, I was going to say something but it sounds really pervy, so I'm not going to bother. But I'd like to see like...
Is it RyanN that we're talking about here?
Yeah, taking it on a completely different note, I'd like to see like a cool dude Ozan kind of thing, where he's got shades on and, do you know what I mean, he's wearing some really cool gear, and I'd like to see them deviate completely from the original characters. I think if they stick too closely, all it's going to be is RyanN with a new blue gown on and RyanN with a wizard hat on, and it's kind of all these little weird things that maybe aren't as good. So
Well, no, from what you were saying, I think Brozan would be pretty cool. Like, you know, they just give him a keg of beer and he's like a proper.
What a lad.
Frozan, that has to be a thing.
Brozan.
I think
love it.
if they go the way of, I think League of Legends have done the best way of just taking, you know, there's this woman with a shield, Leona, and all of a sudden that shield has turned into an umbrella. Oh, you know, she's been completely taken out of context and become something.
Rip.
He's
He's
Am I
back.
dying?
He's back.
I'm dying. But honest to God, though, I hope that there is a spoon chest skin now.
Oh, that Torv has just said merchant said that Legend customizations put the League of Legends customizations to shame. So that sounds good.
For me, I
That
hope.
might mean that you can like chop and change things, you know, rather than having individual skins. It might be like, you know, you can swap this bit out. Swap.
Like an MMO, well, an RPG in general, where you can like equip a hat or, I think that'd be quite cool. Being able to swap Linds's weapons out. Maybe 18 plus weapons as well, like dildos and stuff. Would be great. I'd love to swing.
Jesus Christ!
I'd love to swing at my opponent with the one out of Saints Row.
I'm taking on a pony, but I'm only using it. No. And with the Santa hat on as Raptor, I can just see that. And honestly, if I ever get my hands on some kind of source code and someone that can actually draw better than a 2-year-old sneezing, I would do that. But I think some more interesting stuff could really come of these changes.
Yeah.
Or the additions, should I say.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of the skins that they were working on a couple of months ago, and even back then they looked amazing. And I know that Jim sent me a message saying they've got so many more even since I went there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring out.
It's going to be good. Languages we'll touch on quickly. They're adding languages to the game. Onto platforms.
Oh, hang on.
I will say that it is really good news because one of the things I keep seeing in the forums is people asking for different languages for the game. So the game is growing massively. I mean, we know in the Discord there's countless nationalities in there.
I mean, I think Bloodburn's from Egypt, which is certainly a bit exotic. If I've got that right, I might be completely wrong, but I think that's the case.
It's actually Fork.
I think also it would be interesting. I can't remember for the life of me what the game was. It might have been Minecraft, where they added pirate as a language.
Yeah.
Just something a bit more traditional and fun. Like you can turn on, say, Christmas, where like your event, where like when you emote or something, it comes up with something a bit more interesting. I know that's not
Rip.
languages, but
Yeah.
That's a nice idea.
I'd like to see more and more fun things being added to the game. Like, I'm not saying the game's not fun, but being able to customize it in a way that makes it more enjoyable for yourself, I think, is definitely a thing. Also making it so that people who want to take the game a lot more seriously can do with like official languages and stuff.
I'm going back to one thing. Going back to one thing that Wes said earlier, how awesome would it be if this game does get big and it becomes an e-sport, to see someone use a Raptor with a Santa hat on?
Santa hat and Speedos.
I wasn't thinking the Santa hat there. Yeah, Santa hat and Speedos.
I want to see Raptor and Speedos. I think.
Yeah, and then you know one of those rubber dinghies, and there's always the cartoonized versions where the person in the dinghy is far too big for the thing. Where it's got like the little horse's
That is
head.
Raptor.
Yeah, that could be Raptor. Like nothing else. Like he's got the the manliness of him, and then I'm not talking about this is taking a toll. No, but he's just standing there in his Speedos and what else, and it's just like, yeah, time to take on a Jad.
Fighting a pony, yeah, Jesus.
I think going back to the languages thing though, are they doing voiceovers in every language? Because I really want to hear Melzar talk German.
Let me drink my tea in peace! But yeah, I definitely think voiceovers in different languages would be fantastic. But yeah.
French Ozan just would sound so suave and fit the Brozan theme. And maybe if they added American as a language because they speak wrong, you could have things like Raptor going, yeah, buddy, take that. And
I like it. I like it. I like it. But yeah.
Touchdown! And when you
Lass
play
mich
big-
meinen Tee in Ruhe. What's the word ausstrinken?
Platforms. We'll move on to now. We've took a bit of a strange turn with the languages. So, platforms. They've always stressed from the get-go that they wanted to put it on Steam, and I think for the game's growth, that's massive. Having built-in support for people to be able to find the game, having maybe even a workshop, maybe for character customization. That's definitely a possibility they could lean towards in the future. Some like they do in CS:GO, they take the skins that people make and implement them into the game. So maybe doing the same for skin customization wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
And we've already seen in this community there's some really talented artists out there.
Oh yeah.
So they could have a lot of fun with that.
There's a lot of talented, just general people in the community. So I'm sure people would love to run with the idea of being able to put stuff on the workshop. But yeah, they've also stressed that they want to get it on iOS and Android ASAP and Mac as well as the other one. I know a lot of Mac users are using programs to run it at the minute, which is a bit awkward and a bit finicky, so being able to run it straight off Mac would be great. And being able to run it on the go means good game work. No one's going to be working anymore and everyone's just going to be playing Chronicle on their phone.
All it means is I need to get a new phone fast.
And the new job will get fired.
Got a
There's
point.
a screen protector so that nobody can see you playing.
It doesn't matter, he shouts quite a lot when he plays, because he's quite
Does
nice.
he?
No!
Not the cabbages!
Glenn, what's up?
Pony.
I think that's gonna be fun. So next edition, Glenn's gonna be unemployed and have grown a massive homeless beard. But yeah, moving on to
He's already halfway there.
You still know what cabbages is in French because the game will have languages.
Competition is the next category. I'm not entirely sure what they were hinting at here. Maybe the new ranking system.
It's the new ranking system. It's still weeks away, whatever that means. We are 1 week closer than when they last spoke about it, so that's good news.
Yeah, we're one week closer since they last said weeks, so we are still weeks away. But
yeah, I guess it would probably be. If I had to put money on it, I'd say start of June.
Yeah,
I'd
I
say
think
the
end
first
of May.
top seed.
End of May, start of June is probably about right. To predict it being early May is a bit soon for me. A couple of weeks to flesh out flesh out and implement a system that, let's be honest, is a complete overhaul of their old one. So
There might well be a pre-season as well towards the end of May. I think we could possibly expect that.
like
Just
just
so-
a beginner
yes,
one, kind of have
Yeah.
a few days to implement to test the new system out. I can definitely see that happening. It's still open beta, as a lot of people seem to forget.
Yeah.
Like
And
the
how-
game is
how
gonna
many
have
times-
bugs, so
And how many times did we see in the first couple of releases where we were like the first people to play it, and they played thousands of games in house, and then all of a sudden it was like, if you play these two cards like this,
it's broke.
my screen turns upside down and starts shouting.
Basically, I don't know if anyone knows, but with Hearthstone's new expansion, there was a bug introduced where you could actually, if anyone knows Hearthstone, which probably most people will, you can taunt up your hero. Now, that's not something that you should be able to do. And after how long they probably had of in-house testing with these cards, for them to not pick up something that was actually really easy to play is absolutely absurd. And that's a game that's fully released.
How does
It was
that
a
even
very
work?
strange
Why
thing
would you do
because-
that?
You have
because
to.
what it is,
It gives
also-
your hero 5 attack as well.
Oh,
So basically, and that doesn't go away. It was broken. I don't know if they've fixed it since, but basically you had to attack the hero, and you took whatever you hit with took 5 damage. So it was just absolutely broken.
It was a strange one though, because it was a spell that also done damage to yourself.
It was
But,
just for how big the game is, for them to have even bugs when they release cards and stuff. I think people need to bear that in mind, that this game's still in open beta. And someone in the chat just put, "What is this Hearthstone? Is it another Chronicle ripoff?"
Yeah.
I approve, Bundy. Circumstance has just said it's fixed. So, but even so, that to even be introduced into the game is ridiculous.
It shows how hard it is to develop a game.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the thing is, if
with
you've
the money
ever
behind them, get it wrong.
if you've ever written an essay or something and you proofread it and you think that's fine, and then someone else reads it and it's like, you got a word missing here, these words are the wrong way around. It's like, how do I make all these mistakes? Because when you make something, you know how it should be. So you don't necessarily know how to fully look at the thing and be able to break it down into...
Yeah, you basically need an idiot to test it.
Yeah, and that's basically what most Hearthstone players are.
And that's why Glenn got invited to the closed beta.
But yeah, I think that basically sums up competition. They want to make the ranked competitive again, and for me, that's definitely a good thing. I think everyone agrees there. But the last tab is tournament, which we've not heard anything about really. All that they want to introduce a new tournament mode, and they want to have an official tournament.
Yes, which could be very exciting.
But it could be really bad, in my opinion.
No, the tournament mode, yes. But I think an official Drag X run tournament could be good.
Yeah.
Because I know they're backing Zaux with the Community Cup. They're sponsoring us with the league. So if they're already doing that, they are gonna. I reckon the first official tournament could be quite good.
It just
I'm curious
depends
to
how
see
it's
what
run.
they offer.
Yeah.
Like, what the prizes are. Is it going to be merchandise? Is it going to be, I don't know, a tour around their office? Is it going to be...
Soft currency.
It could even be that. Yeah, it could be platinum ingots. I'm pretty sure that'd be quite easy
you look
to...
at stuff like Magic the Gathering, where their online version just literally gives you more tickets to play more competitions that happen every hour or so.
Okay, it does, but tickets don't quite... tickets are very useful in Magic the Gathering Online. You can use them to buy cards off players. You can sell them for real money. It's...
I think the interesting thing about that part is that there's no S at the end. And that's, I think, just leading up to one pinnacle kind of tournament, one focal tournament, rather than like a tournament mode yet.
For me, I think they want to get the tournament mode out and then have their own tournament on it. But I'm really hoping with the tournament mode that you can host your the community ran tournaments, because at least in other games the community ran tournaments can sometimes be even better than the official ones, more better organised, have better players, even things like that, even offer better prizes. So I hope that they make it so you can add your own, but it's going to be a difficult system to add, 100%. Like, how do you track games?
We'll see what they do in the next few weeks.
Schedule games, and for me, it's just a bit difficult to work with. I don't know. But yeah, I think they're excited for tournament, and I know we all are.
Yes.
We're all in the league, so we're all in the Community Cup. We all know what it's like to compete at high levels. So yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good fun. Yeah, I think that's all the changes that have really been spoken about this week.
Yeah, well, I think there'll be quite a big update coming next week, because they've got all of this week's changes they haven't processed, and also whatever they were planning to do at the start of next week. So I think there'll be quite a few changes next week.
Fingers crossed. But with that,
it is a long weekend over here, though. Don't forget as well. So they will have one less day to process things. So.
But yeah, we'll move on to game balances, and there's obviously been none. But I've come up with some of my own proposed ones that I want to have a little chat about. So we're going to start off with Black Knight Titan, a card that's widely considered quite broken because of its effect. And I definitely agree. I feel like...
I think it's on the same level as Virago was.
I don't think it's that broken. Virago was insane. I think a lot of people underestimated how much Virago actually won you games. But BKT it's a great card, and it's probably too strong. Being able to strike for just your base attack, even if they don't have a weapon, was kind of like, oh, let me just have a free strike without exhaust, which was something they were trying to eliminate from the game. So for me, the change that I've added is I've made it from a 5/8 to a 6/9 to make it harder to take down. But I've also added the effect into its effect of, if the rival has a weapon equipped, strike them with their weapon and then remove it. If they don't have a weapon, it's a dead card. You kill it and then it's gone. Well done, you've killed a Black Knight Titan. That, you should get a pat on the back and move on to the next card. I think that would help balance it. But what are your guys' opinions?
Yeah, I quite like this actually. I think it's still very, very strong because it can win you a game straight off against certain decks. But yeah, I think at the moment you're right. It is too strong because it's just a free striker in an AP gain deck. And yeah, the striking mechanic is probably one of the strongest in the game. So I like this change. Also, the change to 6/9 means you can't just instantly kill it with a barricade or something, or an enfeeble or something like that. You've also actually got to think about how you're going to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this change.
I'd like to see them get rid of the strike altogether. I think just dealing weapon damage is fine. In all honesty.
Yeah, I can get on with that.
Yeah, I think it'd be good, but at the same time, it's rare that it's going to be a massive effect if they have got. Like, I don't think your base attack is going to add that much more to it. If they've got a weapon, chances are it's going to hurt them a lot anyway. I feel like it should be a lot more situational than it is.
So your text, Musher, would be deal damage to rival equal to rival's weapon attack, remove weapon from rival.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that idea actually.
I don't mind that at all.
I could keep that as a 5/8 as well.
Maybe I'd still like it being on 6 attacks, so then at least if you do enfeeble or barricade into it, you have to take a couple of hits. It's not going to be too costly, but I like the idea of having to take damage off a diamond or being able to, like, for something to be strong as a diamond for me, as I've brought up on previous podcasts, I like the idea of having to go on a quest and being able to activate the card in a certain way, and being able to just barricade Black Knight Titan. It seems a bit to me.
One question from the chat, Alcabus. If rival has changes, is a change because if the rival doesn't have a weapon, then the effect doesn't pro.
Currently, it does. Like if you play if you play Black Knight Titan, they don't have a weapon. Say you had 8 base attack, you kill Black Knight Titan, then you hit them for 8, and that's just a bit too much. Even if they maybe added exhaust, maybe that's a thing as well that could balance it. I just feel
that's
like
another potential
they're
way.
missing one thing off BKT that would make it a bit more well-rounded in terms of the game.
The thing with that though is the fact that it's I would say at least 70% of the time played when going second chapter 5 slot 4. So the exhaust wouldn't matter.
But that's fine.
Maybe if you exhausted before the strike.
Ooh.
Maybe.
But then that's almost exactly the same as what Musher was saying.
It's the same as Musher's with one extra.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've offered up suggestions here. Well, yeah, you beat Musher because of this card in your tournament, in your league
I had
game.
to try and get it in there. I'm sorry.
It's still a sore subject, I think.
Nah, it's all good.
But yeah,
removed from the game altogether.
It's a game. I've said before as well that I don't like cards that completely crush archetypes and like ways of playing the game. And BKT does that to Linza for big weapon Linza. If you're trying to build up a massive weapon over the entire chapter, sure, you shouldn't be allowed to, as soon as it gets out of range, get on with it. But at the same time, if you've got an 18-15 weapon, why the hell does it just disappear with this card? Like, maybe half weapons your ability, maybe something like that could be a change. Something along them lines. Because it just completely wipes out like big weapon Linza, and it's made the Linza meta. You can either grief with her, or you can run small arms, or you can run big arms quickly and pulverize and try and kill them. And if you don't do that, you've probably lost. Like that's the way to play Linza, and it's a bit annoying for me. With a card game, you should be allowed to make the decks and play them how you want, and this card currently stops one way of doing that.
Yep.
But yeah, Freaker said it exactly there. Cards like BKT or Redbeard Frank aren't healthy for the game. Some deck types will never be viable because of it, and I completely agree, which is why we're moving on to Redbeard Frank now.
Okay.
You can make a note about BKT if you want quickly.
One last thing I was going to say is perhaps even if one of the flavor texts for it was remove your weapon, strike rival with their weapon, remove their weapon.
Maybe, but a lot of the time, people that are playing BKT are just taking base attack into it. So
yeah.
Or they're using up their weapon to kill it. So I don't think that's going to do too much on that. But yeah, Redbeard Frank is a very strong card. As Musher said earlier, it can just draw 2 cards. Like, even if you don't remove any gold, you can still draw 2 cards. And for me, that's far too strong. Considering how easy it is to kill, I've proposed a change that removal gold from both legends stays, as much as I hate that, but there should definitely be a downside. So I've removed draw 2 cards, and I've put take 5 damage. I feel like with the pirate, if he's taking your gold, there should be a reason for that. Like, kind of like a little story that he's hit you and like knocked you out and killed you or whatever, so he took your gold. But to take 5 damage isn't necessarily a bad thing, considering how easy it is to take out. So if you really want to activate this card, you're going to have to take that damage to do so. But yeah, it's just far too strong in its current state. Remove all gold, so people that run this card generally won't run much gold game. Like, they won't be worried about getting rid of their own gold. So they play this card as a draw 2 cards if it doesn't like use its main effect. So I don't know. I like this change personally. Obviously, it's open to tinkering, like maybe take more damage, take less damage, whatever. But what are your guys' opinions on Redbeard Frank?
Just something I thought of whilst you were saying that was, what if you discarded cards equal to your opponent's gold that they lost?
So you could just completely discard your entire hand.
Rid of your entire hand, yeah.
It could be, but at
strong.
the same time, if you play it well / or badly, it sort of has that good or bad effects almost. But I don't know. I just thought I'd throw it out there whilst I thought of it.
It's not a bad idea, but I don't think that would be used, because people in this game do not value drawing cards that highly. Like, people that say first is OP do not realise that having that extra card is actually massive. So discarding all of your hand basically for a chance that it might ruin the opponent's game, it can be devastating. It can actually lose you the game on its own. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the taking 5 damage, you know, there's a few ways. It's only got 4 attacks, so there's a few ways that you're not taking damage off it anyway, like enfeeble.
That's the point, yeah. Most people.
So at least to make sure you're taking some damage.
Most people will barricade or something into this. Even if you tank 1 hit off it, you're taking 4 damage, which is nothing. To remove all gold from Overlay, like, completely ruins decks. So, yeah, it's too strong in its current state, but I don't know if this is the right proposed change. Maybe making this 6 attack as well would obviously mean enfeeble and barricade don't necessarily work as well on it. I think you have to bear that in mind when you're making really strong cards, that there's so many cards that will reduce its attack or health that you need to make sure that the really good cards are still punishing. So, but yeah, that's Redbeard Frank. We're going to move on to the next diamond, which is Lady Zay. This is a simple change for me.
Yeah, this is one that I think pretty much everyone agrees with as well.
It shouldn't do the 3 base damage, and that's basically all I've changed on this card. Deal 3 damage to rival per cannonball in your hand, discard all cannonball. I think that's a perfectly viable change. I've seen some people say that maybe 2 damage per cannonball would be good, but I think that with getting the cannonballs, Rowdy Cannoneer you generally take 4 damage off, because you take 2 hits of its 2 attack. You take 4 off Sorcerer's deckhand. You take 3 off Pirate's Hideout. Like, all these cards that gather cannonballs actually do damage to you anyway, as well as having their other kind of costs. So I don't think making it 2 damage is actually that viable.
The other thing is they're already guaranteed to deal 1 if you use them in the slots. I think putting it down to 2, you know, it seems like it's not enough damage.
Yeah,
essentially.
It'd almost kill the whole cannonball archetype. And while
it would definitely kill it, I think.
While it's so strong, I don't know if it's necessarily just Lady Zay that's the strong part of this. The whole.
I think Barkatoad is a bit of a problem. I think 7 damage is
Barkatoad's huge. Yeah, I'd like to see that come down to 6 or maybe even 5. Probably 6
is
yeah, because Sticky Sanders is 4 damage. So
4, yeah.
I think 6 damage is quite good. It doubles the value from Lady Zay, so could be a good card. Even still.
I like that.
But I think they all need a little visit and kind of did we do this right? And no, it's quite clearly a little bit broken, because I know my recent experience on ladder has literally been the whole Melzay the Pirate Shaman combo. where you just get absolutely ruined with cabbages and cannonballs and Joga Shaman and you lose. So, a good question from the chat while we're on Ladies A is, should there be a card that discards all cannonballs from opponent's hand? I like it. Maybe like
that
shit
would be
coins.
a very, very nice tech card. If
Call
you
it
can
very
predict your
big mag-
opponent...
Or something like
Very
that.
big magnet.
Very big magnet.
Take all
let's
opponent's
not
cannonballs.
get Wes in the card naming department.
But then what would happen is you'd take damage equal to the amount of cannonballs, because the cannonballs, obviously, you wouldn't pull them along like a trail of paper clips.
Maybe
would you?
spend them. Spend cannonballs from your opponent's hand, dealing 1 damage to yourself per cannonball. Like, I don't think it needs to be completely wiped out the fact that, you just spent all this time building up enough cannonballs to make Ladies A good, let me just get rid of them all and GG. Do you know what I mean? I think it should still have a downside to an effect like that.
Yeah, it gives your opponent a chance to counter it. Whereas at the moment, if you start building up cannonballs, the only real counter is Yoga.
Not really Yoga, but also Scarface Pete.
Yeah, but...
Things like that are far too
Melzar a
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Melzar is a bit as well, I suppose.
Yeah, if you limit the amount of cannonballs they can
cannonballs.
draw, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What about making Ladies A cost gold? It's a possibility, but then how much... You can't put a value on an indeterminate amount of damage for me. I know we had a conversation with Mod Genesis at Insomnia, and we talked about maybe making it cost gold equal to the amount of cannonballs you were to spend. So say you were going to do 21 damage through 7 cannonballs, you'd have to pay 7 gold for that. Which is a okay idea, but I still think... But then
It would slow that deck down.
But then you've also costed 3 damage to 1 gold, and that's not great, in my opinion. Considering
I
things
think
like...
just making it cost 3, like, maybe keeping it at 3 plus the 3 damage it does, and just make it cost some gold.
Maybe.
Because some pirate lists don't make much gold. I know the one I run has like maybe 6 gold gain in it total.
And 2 of them are from Melzar, which we... I haven't made the cards up, but I think we pretty much all agree that Melzar's effect's so strong that he doesn't need to drop gold as well.
Yeah, I think they mentioned
Just
it in the
no
stream
gold
on
one.
Wednesday. There's no point.
Yeah.
There's no need for that card to
It's
have gold.
absolutely ridiculous. It was like most of RyanN's that dropped gold pre-open beta. Was it Infernal Mage dropped like 3?
Infernal Mage dropped 3, and Skeletal Mage dropped 2.
Yeah, it was just too much gold getting dropped everywhere, which meant certain cards were easy to play. Like you can Melzar into Pirate's Hideout into Ladies A Chapter 1. And at the minute, that gives your opponent 3 cannonballs, and then you do 3 cabbages, and then you do 12 damage to them. It's just like, yeah, have this, have some damage, have some cabbages, have a cannonball here and there. Do you know what I mean? It's just too much. So if you remove that, you can't actually Pirate's Hideout, which, well, it sounds trivial and it's kind of situational. It's actually quite big on decks like that would run cannonballs. But to go with Melzar, carry on.
Oh, all I was going to say was when you were saying about the 1 gold match run, the kind of turns you tend to have. Chapter 1 is something like Melzar into one of the either Reckless Candy or Saucy Wench deckhand, and then into either a Barker Toad or a Pirate's Hideout into Zay. So even though 1 gold doesn't sound like much, that 1 gold is a huge enabler for you to deal damage.
Yeah, definitely agree. But yeah, to go with that, the deck that's broken, Joga Shaman is another card that I think definitely needs a change. And we came up with 2 when we were discussing me and Glenn earlier. Joga Shaman, I've proposed that it deals damage equal to your rival's hand size plus 3 rather than times 2. So basically it changes the damage range from 0 to 20 to 3 to 13, which I think is much more manageable in terms of taking a lot of damage at once. I don't know. And
it's still very strong.
The other thing we came up with was keep the effect as strong as it is, but then do not make it drop gold, because there's so many cards that had massive effects that drop extra things. Like Hope Devourer is another one. Why does it drop armor? The effect is so massive on the card itself that it shouldn't give you any more benefits. I think the same was to be said about Virago, and that got the armor taken off that. And all of RyanN's minions that dropped her gold. It was just kind of... they seem to just make the card have a good effect and then go, oh, we'll give it something else as well, just to incentivize you playing it. So, I don't know. What do you think about Yoga Shaman as someone who used it a lot, Musher?
So I actually think 3 is good, like +3, because you actually have this progression between 3 different cards. If you do that, so Yoga Shaman is +3, Earthwave is +4, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vengeance is +5.
Yeah.
So, you've got kind of this linear progression as the cards get maybe, harder to play, or, like more situational, if you know what I mean.
I think it definitely needs a little change. Like it can be.
I think times
mostly,
2 is too strong.
It's mostly enfeebled into anyway, so you don't take any damage. And even if it's not, if you take a KO weapon into this, which is another broken card, don't get me started, but a KO weapon, you still only take 4 damage for the potential of 20. If you've Melzar'd them as well, it's like I'm doing at least 6 damage with Melzar.
The amount of times I've been hit with double Melzar Kale Yoga as a combo is ridiculous.
That is a very fun combo to play with.
No, it's not.
Like, I don't know. It's a bit difficult to balance something like this. I think with making changes to loads of cards, you obviously see the meta change and you see different decks becoming viable. So I think they need to keep making changes, but they need to make them quite slowly so that they can get a grasp on where the game's at now. And should this card be changed still? Because, like we said earlier, I think a lot of the reason like Lady Z is actually that strong is partially because of the gold drop from Melzar. So maybe by removing that gold drop, maybe you make Lady Z not as strong, and it still will be very strong, but like it won't be maybe as strong. And I think with changes like that interfere with each other, you have to be careful. Yeah, that's just my opinion. And it looks like the chat agrees that ×2 is too much.
I think you had some ideas for some other cards.
Mushy?
Oh, sorry, what?
Sorry. You mentioned you had some card ideas. Yeah, I think you had some card ideas.
Yeah, so my idea was mostly just that, so we've got a few synergies in the game currently that don't see play, like potions, things like that. So with Morven, they're saying that they're going to bring tribes into it, which I presume means more creature types than it does, item types. So what I would like to see is, maybe just some of the potions be buffed slightly, because if you buff potions slightly, you incentivize and putting them in decks, and then, well, if you're playing these few potions, you might as well put Papa Mambo in. You know what I mean? Like, things like that, just incentivizing some of the strategies, that aren't currently played to be played.
I agree. Some potions are quite good, like Stamina Potion's a good card. But some of them are absolute trash, like Anti-Fire Potion. Why don't they just make that, remove like 8 attack from the dragon, and not drop any health? And that would actually be quite good, because it makes the dragons actually kind of... I can actually Anti-Fire Potion into this now. Like before, you'd Anti-Fire Potion and still take about 30 damage. So you need to make Anti-Fire Potion like more protective. And I think if you keep increasing like potions effectiveness one by one, then effectively they all become stronger. Like Unstable Concoction and Crystal Flask would become stronger as a result of Anti-Fire Potion being a better card. So cards that synergize with each other automatically will all become stronger. Papa Mambo, another one. So basically what you do, you change Anti-Fire Potion, it makes Unstable Concoction and Crystal Flask better, which then makes Papa Mambo better. So that's the kind of knock-on effect that you need to work with in card games effectively. It's just, yeah, as Goss put there perfectly, only potions being so terrible have kept Papa Mambo away from being played.
Yeah, I mean, when I've played Papa Mambo in Dungeoneering and it's come off, it's an amazing card. But the problem is you can only run one of them. That's why you don't run it.
And
because
also when
you
it misses,
have to run so many potions. Yeah, when it misses, it's a massive waste.
Yeah.
But the problem is you've got to have plenty of potions in your deck to be able to proc it, and the potions just aren't good enough for a constructed deck at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people have tried to make one, Like I've tried to make one. Bundy had one, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know how good it was.
Messing about with. It wasn't great, but he was trying it. I think like it's close to being playable, and I think rather than them have to add more potions, I would like to just see some of the worst ones made slightly better. Like you say, anti-fire potion, that balance change you had as an idea was pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, I like that one.
It makes sense for an anti-dragon potion to actually work against dragons, to be honest. Like,
it also makes more sense lore-wise. So in the game, anti-fire potions, I'm not sure what the base one does, but the super anti-fire potion stops you taking any damage at all from fire breath. So, increasing that amount, what does it does currently? Is it 2 or 3?
Anti-fire potion does 5, but it's still not very good.
Oh, 5, is it? Okay. I thought it was less than that.
No, it's still not very good, though, because most dragons have 8 or above attack, and a lot of health. So
Yeah, I would like to see, in that case, so if they all have 8 attack, I think getting rid of 8 is slightly too good, because you should still take a small amount of damage off.
I'm on the game now, so let me just search quickly. Dragon. So Green Dragon has 8, Undead Dragon isn't a dragon, and KBD has 8. That's them 3. And
maybe
Linza,
make it 6 or 7 in that case.
Linza has Adamant Dragon and Rune Dragon, which have 6 and 7, so... Yeah, it's a bit... and also for me, Dragon Sev, Ozan, should do something against dragons. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though.
Dragon Set is a type of armor.
Yeah, it's armor and weapon, but I still think... I don't know, certain armors or some... This comes back to the thing I proposed on the Q&A on Wednesday, of having temporary attack. Maybe having temporary attack per like archetype. So if I don't know how you'd implement it, but you'd have a temporary temporary armor against maybe a dragon. So like your dragon shield, anti-fire shield or whatever the hell it's called. I've not played RuneScape in quite a long time, but I know there's a shield that you need that will stop you taking damage from a dragon, and I'd like the idea of being able to equip that kind of and not take damage from a dragon. But if you equipped into something else, it wouldn't necessarily work. I don't know.
They could probably do it the way, like you've got your next creature.
Your next
Depending
dragon.
on how the card types work, like how subtypes work, they should be able to do the same thing. Just have it say your next dragon instead.
I'm pretty sure they'll be able to do it, but it's just whether or not they want to go down that route of making specialised cards, because at that point, do you make them general cards? Do you make certain people like Raptor be able to only use them because it makes sense that he's the tank, he can take these shields and stuff? And
is that not what Morven's going to do, though? Because that was, with Morven being a Slayer, I thought that was the type of thing he would be doing.
Yeah, it could be. We have to see what happens when Morven comes out, I think. Is there any other cards that we think are broken? Or go ahead, Wes.
With the potions, I think the thing is with potions, they seem to have made potions, and then they were sort of coming together. And in the last meeting, they were like, "Why don't we have a card that sort of tries to bring together a deck full of potions?" And they went, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea." They went away and built it, and they brought it into the game, and they were playing their same deck still. And then they released it, and now all of a sudden it's like, we want to make a potion deck, because there's a couple of cards that try and link together all the potions, but the potions themselves are too specific. Like, the synergy between potions, apart from the cards which are literally meant to bring them together, is the part that's broken. Because, like, anti-fire potion, good against dragons. Okay, so I need to run a dragon deck. But I also want to run a potion deck, and very few potions will actually work on my dragons as well. I think that's the big issue there is this... You what?
I think you're definitely right there.
Alright, yeah.
There's a few potions that are kind of like they're almost too specific, as you say, and by doing that, you kind of drive the whole idea of playing that deck away from playing that deck.
Yeah.
Weapon poisons, one that I'd like to bring up because, let's be honest, that's fucking awful.
Such a bad card.
It is so bad. Like, add 2 weapon attacks and remove 1 durability. That doesn't make any sense. I'd like... See, at what point do you then go, I would want this to be a Lin's specific card where it just adds 2 weapon attack for 1 rolled or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds too similar to Thurgo.
Exactly, but weapon poison needs to be, I think, a different kind of potion. Maybe give your weapon so much temporary attack or something weird like that.
Give your weapon temporary attack because then it can still be punished by BKT.
And it can also break. Like your weapon could break and you don't then have the temporary attack on that monster if you were to take it on. So maybe
temporary weapon attack is quite good.
Maybe that's an idea.
I've played a few like CCGs and TCGs, and one of the most interesting concepts I've came across was with a game called Hex. And what they actually have, it's a very similar kind of game in the fundamentals of it to Magic, but also as well as just the cards and going into the game and playing the game, you can have things on your hero where there's, I can't remember many of them at all because I never really started off on the game very well, but there was different sort of things that you could add to your hero to make you better with this deck or against another deck. I'm not suggesting that that's the way to go for this because the balance issues with that were just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think.
But
I have to bring up the point that Hex isn't a massive game, and maybe that's the reason because of it. And that's why basically is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's there's enough that they can do with the game with Chronicle at the minute that there's a few cards that are batshit broken and there's a few that are not playable. So, it's a bit iffy, kind of balancing everything at the same time. So, like I said, I like to see them bring down the power of the better cards to start off with, and then as soon as they start realizing, okay, people are complaining about cards that maybe are quite strong but not necessarily broken. They require a lot of setup, a lot of gold, a lot of resources, whatever. When that point gets reached, if that point got reached, you could then go, okay, now we'll start trying to bring other cards that have not really been played into the game. Because if you have outrageously broken cards, the only way to then balance the cards that are unplayable is by making them outrageously broken. Because otherwise they just won't see play anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't like to be a game balance. I mean, actually, I would. Like, Jagex, if you're watching, I will gladly do this. It'd be great. I actually think it'd be really fun to do so. And I know that Spencer's been doing a survey, sending a survey around for people to fill in. And that was one of the suggestions I added on mine. That I'd like a player and mod-based team to work on balances for the game. Because I don't think the mods actually, might be wrong, but I don't think the mods play enough to balance the game effectively. I think that there's a lot of players at the top of gold especially, and people that put a lot of time into the game that will probably know the game better than the mods at this point. There's only so much the stats can tell you.
No, I think you got a good point there.
But yeah, that's I guess it for the game balances then. If no one's got any more?
Nope.
Okay, so we move on to the last section of the stream, the kind of winding down point of the podcast. It's going to be the Q&A. We've got an actual okay length podcast this week, guys. It's not been outrageously long, so we're doing okay. So if anyone wants to submit questions in the chat, go ahead and do so. Someone said a little bit a minute ago, completely off topic, but would someone make a simulator and let a machine learning algorithm that learn the best deck ever by playing it against itself? It'd find maybe overpowered and underpowered cards this way. I think that'd be incredible, but I think it'd probably take about 10 years to program. Game. Yeah, that's going into the whole AI realm of being able to be a self-thinking kind of self-observing kind of bot, and that's, I think, far too.
Do you not get the issue after you? So
no, it's alright. Go on.
Oh, what I was going to say is, do you not get the issue where you essentially get to a localized minima, though? So, essentially, it's took this deck, refined it, and then it can't find a deck that's actually better than it because it's kind of stuck in this well, where, that's the best deck, and the cards that would beat that maybe don't fit the deck because you said it's playing against itself.
Maybe. I like the idea of having a bot almost trying to balance the game, but I think at the end of the day, you're always going to need human input for something like that.
Yeah, there's so many variables, And to be honest, a lot of the changes as well, like the original Ogre Root change, it wasn't necessarily based on stats. It was based on how it felt, and it just felt wrong. So that's why it was changed mainly. So if it was just down to stats, Ogre Brute probably wouldn't have seen a change before a lot of other cards.
Yeah, like Ogre Brute was very, like the old Ogre Brute I'm talking about here was very kind of. It'd ruin the fun of the game, sure, but it wouldn't necessarily win you the game. So I think if you looked at the stats of old Ogre Brute, I bet you it wasn't as imbalanced as it felt when you were playing. So that's what I mean by stats can only take you so far. It ruined your kind of game plan, but maybe you still won because you got a couple of lucky draws, or maybe they played badly. And also playing against some of the newer players, they'd see you play Ogre Brute against them. They'd play Ogre Brute, not realise that you take 10 damage, and then you get low yourself, and if you're second, you could take 14 if the other player's an Ogre Brute. So I think the stats got padded out a little bit by maybe bad players. I say bad, new players playing the cards, because they've seen how broken they are. Yeah. Anyone else?
One from Snowy. Just wanted to say big thanks to Glenn and Ryan for telling me to stop playing Ozan in the tournament.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no problem, Snowy.
This is what we're here for. We give you stats to work on, so...
There was one thing I was...
Carry
Sorry,
on.
go on.
No, go on.
Oh, it was off topic, so do you want to finish off, or...?
No, go carry on.
Alright. One thing I was going to suggest, like, especially to people wanting to get into the competitive side of thing, is honestly to find a few people at whatever rank you're at, and just practice against them, like become friends and practice against them.
Yep.
It's something that I'm definitely going to look to try and do with a few people, and honestly, I don't think that the amount of practice that's possible at the moment is very minimal. You've got ladder, and if you want to bring in something secret and something stupidly weird, it's kind of difficult because you think, I need to practice this on ladder, but having a few people, it's not. And so playing against a few people that you know well, almost forging a small team, I think that will not only be good for yourselves, it'll be amazing for the community. Just seeing, like, you know, the thrill of esports is not seeing Dr. Boom thrown out in every deck played known to man on turn 7. The fun in esports will come when you see someone play something that you thought, that's not going to do anything, and then all of a sudden you just see it win a game for someone, and you're like, that's what I want to do. You know, the Aguero moment in the Premier League, that, you know, that wasn't just kind of like... Yeah, you know, it's a goal, but the way that everything happened, the build up to it... It was a
history-defining goal, like, in its own right, so...
It was, yeah. I mean, I think that it's something people will possibly, sitting in maybe bronze or silver, would just be like, but the thing is, no one want to play against me.
But they do.
Yeah.
The amount of people who have that same thought that then don't follow through with it, like, you can make a team for yourself. I think that's the start of something with Team Cabbage. As much of a joke as it is, it could actually be a thing where you can get a team of 5 and practice together and, like, help each other out with deck ideas.
With it, yeah.
And
it did start off as a joke, but
it was.
As much as it started off as a joke, it was then like, oh, you know, we might as well, you know, play together and stuff, you know. Plus, the 4 of us who are currently in it all played very similar decks anyway, so, you know, we've all kind of helped each other develop them.
Yeah. I mean, it only really becomes a problem when you come up against each other in tournaments, and it's kind of rough, but at the same time, like, if you've been working together, chances are you're going to finish equal and take shares, like, take a point each and whatever. If it comes into a tournament, then maybe for the week or so beforehand, you like split up the team, and maybe one person works with someone else and one person works with your opponent. I don't know. It looks like Skype's crashed. Oh no, Skype's back.
That's better.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah. Unforgiven's team meme will go far in esports. I think that's just Unforgiven and YX at the minute. But that is an unformidable team. Formidable. Yeah.
Unformidable.
Unformidable team.
But yeah, I think that, you know, especially to those listening, if there are any of them, I'm sure there are, that are sort of bronze and silver as well. If you practice against bronze and silver, you'll reach gold. So therefore, you will eventually practice against golds. I mean, at the moment, the way that the community is, you come into Discord 2 nights in a row, you are one of the team almost, sort of thing.
Yes.
The whole Discord community.
Yeah,
That's
Discord's
literally all it takes.
Especially if you're willing to come to the voice chat and just give Glenn some grief, say for once or twice.
Yeah. Then you're in.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
that's
that's
your
how I knew you.
application.
So,
Your application's
Yeah.
sorted with just saying 4-0 twice.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think that just pushing for something like that would be so good for the community, but not just splitting up into different factions almost. Just, yeah, something I wanted to throw out there anyway.
Yeah, I think
It also opens up potential new competitions and tournaments that are team based.
Yeah.
And that could be a nice little twist on it.
I'd like to see maybe 5v5 tournaments where, or maybe 5v5 is a bit too many. Let's start off with 2v2s. So basically, player A plays player A from each team, player B for player B. If both players on the team win, they progress. If one player from each team win, then the 2 winners play, and the winner of that then progresses in the tournament. I'd like to see team-based tournaments like that. I don't think they happen enough in other games, but having to rely on maybe someone else to win games, maybe a bit rough.
I mean, as long as Glenn isn't your partner, I think you're fine.
Yeah, I think so.
By the way, I can see Jofin asking for people to practice with. Don't go and practice with him because he's my opponent in the Community Cup. So definitely don't practice with Joey.
Don't worry, Joe, you've got a practice partner now. I'll add you after this.
We all want to see Glenn lose, so...
I think I got screenshots of Glenn's deck somewhere. Hang on, let me just...
Don't you dare!
Someone probably knows his IP if you want to...
I think I know his password, actually.
I know his address. Does someone know his address? Like, it's a thing.
I also have a knife. Just...
Jesus Christ. Right, so I think that's where we're gonna have to end it out tonight. It's been a great podcast. We've kept it to about an hour and 45, I think. No, 2 hours, I think actually.
2 hours.
I can't math. But that's actually a lot better than it has been. So this will be going on YouTube at a later date. Hopefully, because I've locally recorded this one, I hopefully can do it a bit quicker. Jesus Christ! And I'm gonna have to end it because there's music being played in my uni corridor. It's a bit quiet, isn't it,
honestly,
guys?
I thought that was downstairs on my house. Honestly,
Wow.
I was like, Jesus Christ, Dad, stop it!
Yeah, I thought it was my next door neighbours.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. I'll try and wrap it up quickly. Next Wednesday is going to be the next Legend Showdown. We're not entirely sure what game it's going to be on. Next Friday is going to be the next podcast. But on Sunday, we will be doing the Sunday roundup for week 2 of the leagues. Join us for that, for some more in-depth stats and stuff like that.
Thank you to Musher and Xilly for coming on this show tonight. It's been great to have you. I'm sure we'll have you both on again.
Yeah, you'll definitely both be invited back on at another time because you haven't caused too much trouble for me. So definitely getting an invite at some later.
Come on, you meant to be singing along with them to this, man.
I know. I'm trying to wrap it up quickly. Shut up. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I guess we'll see you all next time and on Discord and all the other things. So see you later.
See you, big guys.
See ya.
Peace.
They're even clapping for you now.